Hey, happy 2022. We're kicking off the new year with another edition of Comics Cast, Let It Out. And it's definitely a special occasion because of two really important things. The first thing is I want to welcome my new partner in crime. He's going to be the co-host with me on Let It Out, and that is the talented Mr. Vic Medina. Vic,
hey,
everybody.
everyone.
If you watched our year-end show, we welcomed him to the family, and so excited to bring his talents and his skills to the masses. And today is going to be one of those days here on Let It Out. So it's January 9th, 2022, and the second part, which is really special about this particular show, is we have a returning guest. But before we get to that returning guest, I want to go over a little bit of what we call Comics Cast housekeeping. So that being said, Vic, if you'd be so generous and pull up our YouTube page.
All right. I did it.
Hey, he's a pro. He knows how this whole StreamYard business works. So if you look at that, this is our YouTube page. And you can go here. So we've been trying to, for 2022, we really want to push our social media numbers. You're gonna be seeing a lot of Instagram. You're gonna be seeing possibly some TikTok. We do want to push our YouTube. Facebook has been really good to us, but we want to move beyond that. And Vic is gonna help us get to that next level. But you can see here we have a plethora. That is the operative word. We have a plethora of videos here, and this represents all of our past Let It Outs over the past 2 years. Can you believe that? And the Artist Roundtable, which was Joe Tolliver's show. And you also have some of our mentor block, which Rick helmed. And we also have the Inside the Indie Creator Studio. I can't remember the exact name, but that was another Joe show where you get to see behind the scenes look at just what artists do, and they can give some tips and things like that. And then Vic has also been helming some things that we were prototyping last year, which was, if you got a chance to check out our uncensored, no holds barred Friday freestyle. we're gonna definitely be doing a lot of that in this new year. And basically, it's at a later hour, and it's an open studio. And pretty much anybody can come on. And then, we're going to try and get some featured guests on there. And it'll be basically our hype, Friday. Anybody can come up on the show to hype, whatever project they're on. Basically, we can just all nerd out, geek out, talk about pop culture, talk about everybody's current projects. It is freestyle in the truest form. You can draw along, you can talk. It's just an open forum studio where we can all just hang out and have a good time. So that being said, like and subscribe to our YouTube page. Always keep in touch with us on the Art Show as well as Facebook, and look for us to make our mark on Instagram. You'll be seeing a lot of that soon. Yes. So that being said, let me get this out of the way. And Vic, if you want to minimize that, get rid of our YouTube page, because we did our little bit of our shameless self-promotion. Let's get our guest in here. So I talked about that, this particular guest, a near and dear friend of mine, and he's just a super guy. I've just really enjoyed hearing his story, so much so that I had to have him back for 2022 and as our first guest. So I'm going to do, I'll do the virtual drum roll, and Vic, you want to let him in? Here we go. So our guest today is
Hey guys,
Pasten. How you doing?
We're good. We actually have two guests today, since he is a big part of why this comic book exists. So
yes,
this is my son Gabriel.
Yes. Hey Gabriel, say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, that's awesome. And I forgot, if I had known he was going to be such a part of the show, I should have double promoted you guys.
Yeah.
I think he, all his friends would have loved to have seen him on.
He'll do that on his own. Trust me.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, just like with all of our past shows, I wanted to draw your attention to the bottom. Draw your attention. You like my little pun there? Draw your attention to the bottom. In the scrolling ticker, this is how you can follow, support Edgar. We're going to talk about his book. If you saw our banner that we did to promote him, it's the AmeriKaiju. It's a phenomenal book. It does have a kid-friendly aspect to it, but it definitely appeals to an older crowd as well. Those of us that grew up in the 80s, We love the nostalgia, and I think that all of Edgar's, his book that he's done with his son and his other talented team, they hit all those, marks in terms of like balancing the new with the nostalgia, and we're going to see a little bit of that right here.
Right.
So let's go to what we call the elevator pitch part of the show, which is where I hand the mic over to our guests and they tell us a little bit about themselves. And this is where, if you didn't watch Edgar's first appearance, which was back in May of last year, I want you to go check it out. Not now. I want you to watch right now. Edgar in the here and now. I want you to check that out later on. But he's going to talk a little bit about his past. What made him become a creative, and how he collaborates with his partner in crime, Gabriel, there to do AmeriKaiju. You'll have more than just one floor to talk about yourself. So definitely, talk it up. We want to hear everything about you. All right. So Mike is in your hands. Edgar, tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you again for the awesome intro. My name is Edgar again, and I have been a toy designer in the design industry for a little over 2 decades now. And I started off as a toy designer, and I did that for a good number of years. And recently, I think back in 2016, I actually I got my feet wet in comics with Power Rangers by Boom. And I was basically on the story team for Saban Brands, and definitely just soaked everything in as much as I could, and always had the idea to make a comic book, like every other artist, right? In high school, drew comics all the time, etc. But this all kind of came back full circle. I had the idea for AmeriKaiju back in 2009, and I let it simmer until 2019. Now my son is 5 years old at the time. We're having some conversations at home a little bit more often than normal because of COVID, of course. And some of those conversations are now within the comic book, right? They're thrown into this comic book that I started. The comic book itself is a story about a 5-year-old monster hunter who gets these emergency powers granted to him, and he's able to go out and battle these monsters. Of course, as a 5-year-old, he doesn't understand quite what that means. So we're going to follow along in the story where, he finally realizes this is a real thing. These are big monsters. They're not something to be messed with. And basically the idea is that he's not fighting just any monsters or regular monsters, that he's fighting mythical American monsters. So the monsters that you most likely have grown up with, to some degree, right? You've probably heard them in the periphery. Things like the Bigfoot or Momo, Jersey Devil, Chupacabras. Those are the things that he's going to be battling, specifically those monsters, because they're of the Americas. They're what we have here natively. So that's who he's going to be battling with. And all of this, of course, was don't touch the phone. All of this was basically inspired by my son Gabriel here. And again, the conversations that we had together. So the big question that we posed to ourselves was, can a 5-year-old take on America's most dangerous monsters and still have time for a nap? And that's what we're trying to tackle, right?
The answer is yes. Yes. Yes.
So far, so good.
And I think that's so cool because since we last talked, and I said the question of whether a 5-year-old can take on America's mythological monsters, we found out in issue 1, 2, and 3 that is totally true. And your Kickstarter campaign, which is coming up pretty soon, it's going to be issues 4, 5, and 6, and it's going to go into more of the details in terms of how that hero can take on these monsters. And that's what I love about this. It's to get to see things through a kid's eye and be able to see who doesn't love monsters, right? Monsters are just
exactly.
And so I want to give everybody a heads up. We're going to be he's going to be launching his Kickstarter campaign. I have it here as, what is it?
January 21.
January 21.
Yeah.
And I'm going to post a little bit later on a link where you can sign up, because the campaign is not live. Obviously, it's not live until the 21st, but you can sign up and basically subscribe, and so you'll get notified when it goes live. And I guess it's kind of fitting that we're here on this particular page. These are some new things that I actually got. This is like totally fresh, hot off the presses. Literally came to me like right before the show started. So I was talking to Edgar about this. This is like the whole thing about it's the new with the nostalgia. This is the thing that's really cool about AmeriKaiju. You know, it hits all these little notes in terms of like, hey, you know, it's heroes is battling these new monsters that we've never seen before. But for us kids of the 80s who loved Garbage Pail Kids,
right?
These are obvious homages to that. You want to talk a little bit about this? I know that this is going to be like a special tier that's on your Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, so these are obviously variant covers that are going to be thrown into the Kickstarter. I was, you know, like I think I can probably say most kids of that age drawn to the artwork, you know, and just like how gross can you make things and how, you know, how funny can things get, right? So GPK was a big inspiration to me as a kid, trying to redraw some of those characters and all. And when I set out in this campaign, one of the things that I noticed from the first campaign was all these variant covers and how beautiful they were and all that. And I literally got jealous, right? I was like, well, these guys are making all these variant covers and they're, you know, there's a lot of love for these covers. I want to do something that's like, what can I do to throw in here? So what I know how to do is toy. So I set out to make some toys that were very near and dear to me. So I looked at like the things that I love, the things that my son loves, and some of the stuff that we share, like they're little people. The little people toys are something that we both love and have all around us. So what I ended up doing was the figure that you have on there. I actually ended up making these little figures that were little people inspired, as you can see on the screen there, from that little green guy and the gray one. That one that you're seeing on screen now is the Beast of Busco, and these are all in that style of like little people. So this was my way of bringing the variant cover and this is my version of like a variant toy kind of thing, so making my own homage to these toys that I loved and that my son now still enjoys.
Yeah, I love that you're passing on that nostalgia. I'm gonna actually put Vic here on the spot. Vic, you want to throw some questions towards Edgar? You want to pick his brain a little bit?
I was just in awe of these. This is so cool. I mean,
I know
having your own toy company and comic. I mean, that's the dream right there.
I know.
Now, do these toys have to be approved by Gabriel before they?
Everything does. Yeah, as you can see, he's making sure that our set looks good before.
He's still working.
Yeah, I know. Quality control.
But yeah, I mean, things down to the poses. I mean, he understands a little bit about the limitations that we have because of the medium. Mm-hmm. But if you look at Chupacabras, which is just about two above the gray one. Yeah. He chose the pose for that one because he wanted it to be very gritty, and he's like, he needs to have the claws out, And that's okay. It's okay.
So are putting you to work, even though
yeah. To work. So things like that, and then also some of the sillier things that I wouldn't have thought of. He has a big part in voicing his opinion and as to like what things we put on the characters. Things like the belt buckle was one of his.
I was gonna.
He wanted it to be like, he was like, well, if you're gonna give him jeans, why can't he have a giant belt buckle? And then what should he have on there? And I said, it should say Chupacabras on there or something, And he's like, no, why don't you just put a picture of him, right? And it's a baby picture, and so we ended up putting a baby picture of the Chupacabras on his belt because that makes a lot of sense. And,
yes, completely.
And I think that's what why they're so appealing. Also, is because you're getting your input from your son. Mm-hmm. You're actually getting that input from a kid and what they want to see. So I think that's why these look so freaking cool.
Thank you, man. I
Is-
appreciate it.
Is you're getting that input from your son.
Yeah, I'm just a huge fan of Edgar.
Gabriel, I'm gonna need you to design my toys, okay? So
Exactly.
we'll be talking.
Yeah, I think when I look at this stuff, it's what's so appealing. I do get the little people vibe, but Edgar, it's sort of like you have this kind of like I want to say it's a street like urban style, that's a graffiti style that's kind of been merged with like this kid friendly cartoon style. It's like it crosses over, and it's so appealing, and they're monsters, but they're cute.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so nice. And I think this is just so neat. And I think that these are things that are going to be offered. We'll talk more about it when we get to the Kickstarter. But this is the unique thing about Edgar that I want to stress is that Edgar is the creator. He's a creator. He's obviously the writer, but he basically has found ways that, from his point of view, or the way that he's running his book, is that he surrounds himself with talent. He's proficient enough that he can art direct them, come up with his own look and style, and then basically talk to his team so that they can produce the book. That frees up time to talk with his co-CEO, Gabriel, there, and talk about the way the book is going to be run, and focus on the toys part of it. That is something that is so unique in terms of like the guests that we've had here on the show, is how many of them actually have toys. I think John Ottinger, he's probably the only person who can claim that particular title, but it's small world because the two of you guys have worked together. You're like you're collaborators, but I love that. And so we talked about Garbage Pail Kids. We talked about that nostalgia and talking about the toys. Let's talk a little bit about just your eye for detail, the way that you sort of frame AmeriKaiju. I know that I'm going to actually get Vic in here because I know that he watched your last appearance, and he has like tons of questions that he wants to pick your brain about. But before I get to that, I just want to sort of show some of these things. And actually, as I'm showing it, Vic, you want to go ahead and go ahead and tell us whatever those burning questions that you want to let Edgar know.
He already touched on them, but I know one of the big things I wanted to ask you is on your last show you said that a lot of you made it out of spite because somebody told you Americans can't make kaiju. Clearly you showed them that they can.
Wrong.
With
they don't know. They don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a younger man, a lot of things that I did came out of spite, unfortunately. But fast forward a couple of years, it's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
You harnessed the spite and turned it into something creative. That's really, really cool. And you know what? I think that the haters, I'm going to call them the haters, that say that there is no such thing as AmeriKaiju. I mean, or kaiju that are American. And you said these are AmeriKaiju. So you got to put it in the context of how you're pitching it. And I think the purists from the kaiju, the haters, they're going to say, well, kaiju are 100 stories tall, and they can only be monsters from Japan or something like that. And no, these are AmeriKaiju. It's American monster mythology, and I think that's why you call it AmeriKaiju. It's not the same thing. You want to talk a little bit more about that? I mean, about the name AmeriKaiju?
Yeah, I think that's a great segue. The comments that have come in, or that I received back then, were just that, right? These monsters come from Japan. Kaiju are this and this and this, and there's some very specific items, right? That boxes that you have to tick, and I said no, you don't. Kaiju means monster. It doesn't mean Japanese monster. It's literally just monster in Japanese, right? So what I'm looking at is what feelings it gave me when I was watching it, and what things that I want to make with them, right? And when I put the two ideas together, again, I came up with the name AmeriKaiju before I started drawing, the bulk of this stuff, right? So the reality behind all of this is monsters can come from anywhere. Anyone can draw monsters. Anyone can can do these things. The monsters themselves are going to be giant. They're gonna get to that point, which is basically where this figure comes in, where these are meant to be somewhat in scale to one another. The big guy and the little guys that I'm doing as little people. The difference is in my story and the way that I'm treating the giant monster battles that are going to be taking place in the cities is that it's not one monster just deciding to grow up or to be this giant thing, right? It's basically, think of Power Rangers in reverse. In this case, the monsters are coming together as a puzzle to make a big monster.
Oh, that just adds like a whole nother aspect.
Yes,
it's kind of like the like Voltron. It's like the kaiju, the AmeriKaiju powers combined, they form super gigantic kaiju or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where the giant part comes in. I didn't want to. I thought it would be a little too cheesy, and obviously my partner here didn't want to see just like, the make my monster grow and all of a sudden they're giant, right? We wanted a reason. How would these be these giant things? Because ultimately we did want to get there, right? We do want to get to that scene that you just saw where they're battling in the middle of a city and they're destroying the city, and there's imminent danger. How do we get there without being extremely cheesy? I don't know that I have the perfect answer, but our response was, well, why don't they just come together and become this giant monster? And that's basically what we did. So
there you go. We got Roy saying, "Preach, Edgar. Monsters doesn't need cultural appropriation." That is so true. And
that's right.
I totally dig that. And
monsters have existed forever in every culture. There's monsters and gods and everything else that you can imagine that's been out there in the zeitgeist for every different culture. So to think that monsters and a certain type of monster only exists in one area or one country, it's a little ludicrous, right? But that's basically the idea behind it, was freeing up this idea. Don't pull on that, please. Freeing up this idea of monsters and how they can exist anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah. So eventually, this wasn't just a play on like scale for these garbage pail things. They were actually they might get this big, right? If enough AmeriKaiju get together.
Right.
I think that's brilliant. And
thank you.
Yeah, and now I'm learning more about that. And that being said, let's take we're gonna take
here's a question for you, right?
Oh, here we go.
What is Gabriel's favorite monster?
What is Gabriel's favorite monster?
I don't really know.
What?
Everything is cool, right? Tell them. Sit down. They want to hear from you. Which monster? What's the last monster that we worked on together? Was it Chupacabras? We work on a lot of monsters.
He's going
together.
through them right now. There's so many.
There's so many monsters in his head. He can't pick one. That's what it is. Oh, okay. Well, we'll save that. Let's think
we'll
about it.
We'll come back to that question, Gabriel.
Yeah, you can answer later on. And I'm glad that Vic popped that up, because we want Gabriel to give his 2 cents, or maybe it's more than 2 cents. He's the CEO here there. But while he's thinking about it, let's take a little bit of a stroll down memory lane, and I want to get people, our audience, to kind of see where AmeriKaiju's been. Like I mentioned before, AmeriKaiju, the new campaign that's launching on the 21st, is going to be focusing on issues 4, 5, and 6. Issues 1, 2, and 3 are already available. So this is the cover of issue number 2. And I'm just gonna go through this, really just maybe show a couple pages, because I want everybody to kind of see the style, but I don't want to give away the story, because you can see in the link below, the scrolling ticker below. I want everybody to go and support Edgar, buy these back issues, as well as sign up, and later on we're gonna send you that link so you can sign up for that new Kickstarter. But as I'm showing these pages, like I mentioned, Edgar puts together a team. he is the mastermind along with his son Gabriel in terms of like talking about who the characters are, who the monsters are, where the story direction is going to be. But Edgar is also the art director on these. So like even though he's not illustrating each and every page, he has his hands on all of the pages in terms of like how they are going to be composed and how they're going to come out. And you can see that through these pages, not only are the monsters like brilliantly designed, but check out the color. This is something that I've learned to appreciate even more as I've talked to other creators and working with Vic. Vic is a talented colorist in himself. Vic, what's your opinion? I mean, can you see like how these colors and these?
Oh, I love these. I mean, the way it comes off the page, it reminds me a lot of a Saturday morning cartoon. Like these vibrant colors, the way everything jumps out. It's just it's really cool. You don't really see I mean, so many comics nowadays are very gritty and dull. Like you open this book and you instantly know this is going to be a fun book. Well, it has cool looking monsters and obviously, it's a kid's book, but it's going to appeal to all ages. And I think like us older guys are going to be like, this looks like the cartoons we grew up on. We grew up watching, Voltron and Robotech and things like that. Yeah. So like looking at all this is what this reminds me of. It's really cool. I like the way this dragon jumps off the page here.
Yeah, no, and thank you, because it does take a lot of work back and forth. I do have a incredibly talented team to the point that you were making, Jarrell, but my colorist specifically, Miguel Gaton, is just I have very, very few comments to make when once we have a direction. What I typically do is I send them the entire inked comic, and I basically color code, and it's just a flood of color, right? Mm-hmm. On each page, and I'll say, look, the entire, for instance, this entire comic, that the one that you're seeing now, mm-hmm. issue 3, is meant to be very very optimistic, right? So I want the look of every page, regardless of what's going on, to have a more optimistic look than issue 1. Issue 1 was not necessarily gloomy, but it was definitely a little bit darker and grittier. And as we're moving along, you'll notice that the not just the way that he's talking and the way that they're interacting and all of that changes. The color is also going to change a little bit to match the outlook, right? So in this one, again, he's a little bit more optimistic. His feeling as a hero, he's feeling this way. So you're going to start seeing some of that color play out. But also, I color code now. I'll say, look, I want these two spreads to match in the background, or I want certain things to happen. So those are the types of notes that I give him. But once we come up with a color palette, he goes to town on it, and there's very little that I need to do, which is a big testament to his talent.
Yeah, and it's so neat because we looked at the issue before this, or that I showed earlier, and it was a nighttime scene, but even though it was a nighttime scene, you had that sense of impending doom. It's like,
we added that little tinge of color everywhere, and a little bit here and there, so it's not pure blacks,
right? And that's the thing too. It's like I think most of us would think, oh, it's nighttime, use black, and it's like now it's like it's so much. It's like looking through looking at the universe through the Hubble telescope.
Yeah,
it's not black. It's like Guardians of the Galaxy colors, like everywhere. And that's what I like about this is that Vic made that statement about how it's like Saturday morning cartoons. That is such a great observation. I agree 100% with it, but it also makes me think of I'm a big fan of Pixar movies, and Pixar is just known for manipulating the audience with their color palettes. I mean that when I say manipulate, I mean manipulate in a good way. Right. It knows how to like pull on our heartstrings if it's a very touching moment, to like if it's a epic battle scene, like this, you have like these really bright, brilliant colors, and this is hard to do. I mean, I've tried doing coloring, and I've read the books on color theory. I've tried it. Vic is definitely more successful at it, but it's like one of those things. You can you can read about how you want to have an emotional response when you're doing a comic, but it's another thing to execute it. And I just look at this stuff, and it's so incredible. This operates on so many levels. It's so cool. And we're gonna get ready to go into our live drawing challenges, but I want to go to one other thing, which is to talk a little bit more about your relationship with your son and how he is such a integral part of the AmeriKaiju hero experience.
Right.
And we talked a little bit about how he comes up with the monsters, but this is the thing that I want to talk about, which is the humor part of it. And this is something that I guess a father and son, can totally get. It's like an inside joke, but I think it definitely goes beyond that. Once I saw the comic, and it comes from the mind of a 5-year-old, and you're able to like translate that into the comic book. So we have 3 pages here, and what is it? Edgar said this was like funny moments. So I'm gonna let you talk about it.
Yeah. So again, I think it's those father-son moments that I think every father and son, father and daughter, mother, daughter, etc. We all have, right? And it's those things where like, what do you do? For me, I'm not the type to be like, oh, I'm gonna post and I'm gonna tell everybody about the funny things that he said. So for me, instead, I'm putting them in a comic book. For me, we have these conversations, and he's a big fan of everything Marvel, right?
Oh,
he's a big fan of
Marvel fanboy.
Marvel and basically Disney, because there's Star Wars, there's Marvel, there's a lot of things that he's into.
Right.
You can see his Mandalorian jacket that he never takes off.
This is the way.
Yeah, there are moments in our conversations where I'm explaining things to him, and I tend to use bigger words with him than are age appropriate for a reason, right? I mean, I'm wanting to talk to him like I would to any adult, because I want him to understand and process those words. So one of the conversations we were having about, for instance, Kylo Ren, or I don't remember the exact character, but I said, they become bloodthirsty, and then they become bad, and that kind of thing. I was trying to explain how he turned, how the specific character turned, and he goes, "Ew, he drank blood," and that it was such a funny moment to me, thinking like, oh my god, how do you misunderstand that? But then I was like, oh well, of course he's taking it literal. So I'm gonna explain the word to you, and that's basically what's happening in this middle panel. So Hero asks, what did he do that was so bad? He became bloodthirsty. He drank blood. And he's like, there's no time to explain this one. Let's just move past this. So as adults, we understand the humor there, right? He's not going to go into it and explain what bloodthirsty means and all of that in this panel, because there's so much going on. But it's those types of moments that I'm trying to infuse this comic with, because they're very telling of the age. He's very innocent in that way, in the best of ways, right?
Right.
Questions like that come up all the time with us, and again, because I'm using bigger words than he's used to hearing, but now he understands what bloodthirsty means. He understands more words like that. So again, I'm throwing it in here because it's something that could be explained by the parent, hopefully, that along with them. So funny moments like that happen all the time, and that's where this one comes in.
I totally dig that whole parenting mentality, obviously, because it's geek approved. I totally dig that, because as a 5-year-old, I think part of the vocabulary that I learned, is like it was reading comic books and like understanding like complicated concepts like the multiverse and time travel. And these are things that when you're a young mind and you read comics like this, or you read like young adult fantasy type books, or young fantasy books for kids, right, sort of like it increases your vocabulary. I can't wait till your son gets older. He's already creating comic books with you. I can't imagine what he's going to be doing when he's 10 years old. He's gonna be like authoring like the Odyssey or the Iliad, and doing his own epics.
Right.
I think that is so cool.
He's already doing his own comic books. So he has that imagination already, and he's a storyteller, much better storyteller than I am. He has a very definite, beginning, middle, end, and sometimes his stories end in the middle. But he's he has a very definite thought in his mind, and he's a brilliant kid.
Looking forward to that. Let's keep on going though. I want to partake in more of this father-son humor here. So we have this, and I looked at the title of it, and you explained it to me a little bit, but I don't want to give it away. I think this is something that Gabriel maybe can kind of like talk to. You want to give the lead in there, Edgar? Talk about this?
The history behind this one, my wife and I were bouncing names off of each other, and I actually asked a couple of friends, and I said, what can I call this sword that would make it feel very epic and very memorable to this book? And some of the names that came up and that were the front runners were things like the Sword of Souls and the Reaper and things like that. And it was like, those are great names and they're very cool, but it's not a kid name, So I came to Gabriel and I said, what do we call this sword? This is what it's about and what it does. And without even thinking, he was drawing, and he just kind of looked up and said,
"The sword of swordiness."
Tell them it's the
sword of swordiness.
Oh,
so it's the sword of swordiness is the name, and that's what stuck, and we incorporated that into the story as well, and into he's having this conversation with his two mentors as he's battling. He's swinging the sword, and they're like, it's called the sword of souls, and how dare you try and rename it, and and he's like, it's just so creepy, and that whole that comment came from him. It was like, oh, that's creepy. No, it's sword of sordiness, So that was a part that came into this comic that way.
I know,
and that's what's great about what you're doing too, because he's coming up with ideas that who knows how many adults you asked for a name, and he came up with the best one. Like none of us would have thought of.
I know,
like you said, Reaper, and he comes with that amazing name. That's just the best. It's the best name ever.
Right. It's so cheesy, but it's like it hits the nail on the head, right? It's a sword, and it's the swordiest sword there ever could be. Is the way that we talked about it. It's the swordiest sword, and it's just that's the type of humor that I'm really trying to infuse into this. So hopefully you guys enjoy that.
Yeah, it's Excalibur got nothing on the Sword of Swords. Right. I'm going to say that right now. And I've just been popping up comments because, but I haven't got a chance to really read them. But they're hilarious. A lot of people are. I think your book is definitely resonating with our audience. I got Roy here. His son is selling his own comic at 5, man. Edgar's just taking all the credit.
For sure.
I think that's hilarious. And I'm just gonna say it's a collaborative approach. It may be more of a 70-30, Gabriel 70-30, but I think that's the genius, I think, of AmeriKaiju. It's just really fun. It's a fun book. And it's the only place you can see the Sword of Swordiness.
That's right.
You can't go anywhere else. So here, let's go to this last page here that is talking. This is more of that humor. You want to tell us a little bit about this page as well?
Yeah, and I guess this one's not necessarily a lot of humor, but it's basically I try and infuse some humor into the arguments that the brothers have. So the two brothers are his mentors, and they're basically playing tug of war with him in terms of how things are done. And in this case, there's a horde of monsters running at him at the park, and he has the opportunity to leave, but he gets convinced by Sid, who's the younger of the brothers. He's more gung-ho and is just like, let's just do things and figure it out later. Whereas the older brother, Van, is more about like, you need a plan, you need an exit strategy, you need a backup plan for that backup plan. And they're arguing back and forth between these two very different ideologies. And in this case, the younger brother wins, and in all of this, he's hearing one argument, he's hearing the other, and he's just like, I don't know what to do, but I'm just gonna go with this guy, and this time I'm just gonna go with him and do this, right? So I just wanted to illustrate that there's a lot of back and forth, and that there's a lot of arguments that are going on for the simplest of things, whether it's how to brush his teeth, how to how to go to school, that kind of thing, or what things to pay attention to at school. Those are the things that he has to deal with on top of
fighting monsters,
being a monster hunter, on top of trying to learn his ABCs. He has a lot on his mind, and for me, I take a lot of that. As a kid, you make these big things. You make a mountain out of a molehill for a lot of different things, right? And it could be a work assignment, or etc. And it always seems like such an epic thing. And he's
mountain thing again, because I made a pillow mountain and climbed it. It was about the couch, and then there were two. I took apart the big couch, and then I made a ramp with a pad at the bottom, and then I used that to actually climb up the side of the couch.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
So,
we just got the spoiler for
what
issue
he's-
number 10.
What he's talking about, because there
Yeah.
wasn't context, is that mountain is what appears in the previous page, where he's hacking away at the mountain.
Yeah, and we're also playing. Me and my baby brother just made a new game where the stroller is a ladder into the air vents, and we climb up into our secret attic fortress.
Very cool. I like that you explained that to him, but we need to give context. Context means the reason behind what we just said. Okay? Good job.
Yeah, that's okay. So none of that was spoilery, right? That's like I just want to make sure that that's not something that's happening in issue 4, 5, and 6. Because,
well, I won't give the context behind the second one.
Oh, there you go.
The first one was easy because he saw on there. But yeah, they're both part of the storyline.
Okay, great. All right. So basically, we get to hear the director's cut a little bit about
right,
that.
right.
Sort of like,
and this is basically what I take. We'll have these conversations. He'll explain things to me like that, and then we'll work them somehow into the storyline. So that's basically, you got the raw, uncut version of the unabridged mind.
Yeah, the unabridged 5-year-old version.
Yeah,
I think
now
that's great.
7-year-old, but
7-year-old. Now he's 7 years old. So I can't wait till his little brother starts giving you input. Now you're gonna have to figure out what the power structure is in terms of the corporate board for AmeriKaiju. Your share is dwindling fast.
Yeah.
So
Mama's got a big share too. So
right. Okay. Right before we're gonna go into our first live drawing challenge, but I want to hand the mic a little bit back over to Vic, because Vic, do you have any other questions that you want to
I was gonna say, looking at this before, you had said, I know you had said that you created this book as a teaching tool for your son. It seems like now that he's gotten older, he has a lot of input. It seems like you're learning new things also from your son, things that you didn't think about before, or know about before, and he's throwing it out. It's great the way both of you are. You're learning from your son, and he's learning from you. I think that's what makes this comic so great.
Mm-hmm.
And
right, yeah, and I think a lot of it is me experiencing those things again, because you forget a lot about those very simple lessons that you learned as a 5-year-old, or things that you thought about, the way that you think about just seeing just seeing something simple like a lawnmower. He thinks of it as something very different, right? He knows what it does, but he's like, Dad, what if this happened? And there's a lot that goes into that 5-year-old mind, the imagination that plays into it, that that I'm really exploring again for the second time now, with this little man. And his younger brother is just as talkative. Gives a lot of input, whether it's asked for or not. He's giving input.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be having the hero age along with your son as well, or are you gonna keep him around the same age?
It's a very slow
like
aging
that
process.
Simpsons That Simpsons no aging thing.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
no,
true.
it's going to be a very, very slow aging process, but I do plan on that. There's already a plan for what happens, you know, in the coming volumes moving
Very
forward.
cool.
Wow. Well, I just was like looking at some of the comments here. Here we go. We got Roy again, who's just a gem for like talk. All right. I think we can all agree we need a solo episode for Gabriel. And we got Sarah saying here, normally kids go on adventures in the imagination realm, but is cool about this comic. This adventure gets turned into something physical. Yeah, it's really cool that you can chronicle, you know, these conversations, you know, with your son, and put them into something that's tangible, a comic book, you know, something that's physical. And you know, now that you have another son who's coming of age, I guess there's going to have to be a heroer. I don't even know if there's a way that you have to come up with another name. And it's so neat because, you know, we talked about, I guess we didn't really go into the context because you're going to have to watch the last appearance for Edgar. But when he talks about the two brothers, the two spirits that are heroes' guides, those are the little you know, red and blue figures that are like sitting on his shoulders, you know, kind of like giving him, you know, advice.
Right.
That's Van and Sid, right? So
Right.
I think it's kind of neat that, you know, who knows, there could be like a whole nother interaction where you decide to bring in your, you know, the Gabriel's little brother into the mix, and then now you have like a whole bunch of brothers all getting together, you know, and talking to each other. So that'll be really cool. It'll be like, hey, it's your turn to vanquish this monster. No, it's your turn. You know, it could be something like
Right.
Or a new solo book.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
that's true. It could be more hero or heroer. I don't know. I'm not the creative mind that.
Let's
Edgar
leave
is.
the names up to Gabriel here.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know. It could be his other son. You know, what is your other son's name?
Christopher.
Christopher.
Yeah.
So Christopher might have to come up with his own hero name.
Right.
You know, hero's already taken. Okay, so let's get to this point where you know, which is really cool. We've already done. We started a little bit late. We're approaching our first hour. Let's get into some live drawing. And we got some really cool things that we're going to introduce for live drawing number 2 and number 3. But number 1, let's dig deeper into hero. You know, that'll be our first live drawing challenge. So I want to direct everybody to this first PDF that I showed. And this is Sid and Van that are on the left and right. They're flanking hero. And, you know, when we talked about hero, like this design, you know, it had, you know, some aspects of him that I thought were like, you know, the skull, which some people kind of think, oh, you know, that might be too like Punisher, or that might be too scary, like Ghost Rider or whatever. But I think the way that hero is drawn here with the skull things, it's playful. And it's you know, it's his alter ego, but it's not done in that way where it can be like, you know, sinister. He's still heroic. His name is Hero. So you know, so I want everybody to check these out. These are some action shots. I want everybody to I'm going to, you know, stay a few seconds on here. I want people to screen capture them so that we can get ready to draw these. And the really cool thing about 2022 edition of Let It Out, you're not only going to get art that's done by our guest and my feeble attempts myself, but we're also going to get Vic. Vic is going to be drawing along with us as well, and so we're going to get his take on it. But I want people to just really soak it up. You know, look at this really excellent character design, and while we're drawing it, I'd love for Edgar to kind of like talk a little bit about like maybe his costume details and his design. But that being said, I would love for our audience to just take it. If you're going to draw along with us, let us know in the comments field. We will look at it. We're going to start with 15 minutes. And since we're both going to be drawing, I'm going to be using my handy dandy iPhone here to keep us honest, because if you watch any past episodes, I try and get more than whatever time that's allotted. So, and if Gabriel's there, Gabriel, why don't you draw along too? I think that'd be kind of cool. Let's see your version of Hero. But I'm going to put a lot of pressure on you, Edgar, because you're going to have to draw and talk at the same time. All right, so
I just draw Hero.
Audience, if you are drawing along with us, let us know in the comments field. Post it to the art show and let us know it's there, and we will feature your artwork. All right? Okay. All right, everybody ready to draw?
Drawing them, right?
Yes.
Okay. Edgar, we're all good?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's get your art cam up. And let me get all of our art cams up, and we're just going to rotate through them and kind of see the work in progress.
I want to draw this.
Let's see. So Edgar, if you want to share your art cam, and we'll get that on there.
Oh, it's not sharing yet.
There it is. All right, Vic, you want to add them in? And
Sure will.
okay. All right.
Draw whatever you like over here. Okay.
You might want to mute. Let me see.
Oh.
All right.
Yes.
I think we got it.
All right.
All righty. So I'm starting the clock right now, and we're gonna ask you a few questions while we're drawing. And I know Vic, you want to start, kick us off with like your first question about Hero, and maybe we can learn some more details about Hero as we draw.
Yeah, I thought it was, well, it's not necessarily about the character, but I thought it was really, really cool that, as you were coming up with these characters, you're Hispanic, I'm Hispanic. I really thought it was cool that you put that into your book, but didn't, it wasn't what defined your book. It's a cross-culture book that'll go, anybody can pick it up and read it. But how important was it to you to, keep that aspect of it part of the book, your culture and everything? Because I mean, you said earlier that you're taking from every culture, from American to Hispanic to anything you want. How important was it for you to have that character resonate with the Hispanic culture?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's always going to be super important. I mean, for selfish reasons and for everything else, right? It is who I am. It is my identity and all of that. But I think my opinion about about previous things that I've seen, in what's that? Let me finish talking, okay? Sit down and draw with us. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Apologize. Just go. Yeah.
So things in the past that I've seen that are like, very, very obviously, either like say it's like very obviously Mexican or very obviously Aztec or whatever. Those tend to speak to a very, very small audience,
Yes.
and everybody else feels alienated because it's like, well, that's not who I like. Those are not my ancestors. Those are not like my heroes. I've never heard of these things. There's a certain bit of like alienation that comes with that. And for me, I'm thinking it more of like, Mama says Among Us. Draw him as Among Us. For me, I wanted to, again, for selfish reasons, because I wanted to market this to more than just somebody that could relate to my Mexican side or to, the stories that I'm telling, without being so overt with them. I wanted to make sure that it was an true all audiences, right? You can pick up this book and not be alienated by, the fact that there's some Aztec background into thrown into this type of stuff. I do it because I think it's cool. It's what I grew up thinking was cool because it was all around me. Growing up in the city of Mexico, you literally have, a modern building, Baroque building, and then you have a pyramid. Right. Those are things that live next to each other. That's not something that's like very different, So for me growing up, seeing that on pretty much daily basis, it really inspired me. And I look at the sculptures that were left behind and everything has such a like cool bulbous feeling to it. And that's a lot of what goes into my drawings and into my sculptures. If you look at them, there's a lot of those like really big round shapes that should resonate with old Aztec stuff, especially some of the stuff that we're going to be doing this coming year. So for me, yeah, I want to infuse it with as much of my culture as possible, but I want to do it in a way that it's digestible just about anybody. You know, I have, being in LA, LA adjacent, I have Filipino friends. I have, you know, friends from everywhere. It's such a melting pot here that I want to make sure that if I do something, that pretty much anybody with, you know, that just likes cool images is going to be able to look at this and think, oh, I'll follow along with that. You know, that seems like a story I can get into, you know, and not necessarily be put off by, you know, by me preaching about, you know, my ancestors or, you know, whatever, you know, that has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it reminds me of when I picked it up. Well, after I was done reading it, I thought of it kind of like Coco, where, you know, the story involves Hispanic characters, and there was so much imagery of Hispanic culture, but the story resonates with everybody. You know, it's not just going to be to a specific demographic, and I think that's what I loved about it. That, you know, anybody can pick it up and it'll resonate with them, because all of us were kids at one point, and you know, all of it. And who doesn't love big monsters, right?
And I think that's the formula that you've come up with, Edgar. You know, following up on what Vic said, is that, and what I really admired about your response is that you're not relying on that heritage or that Hispanic or Mexican identity to define every aspect of Hero, but you are incorporating into it so it can be used as a way to kind of say, this is the roots of my character, and you can see the artistic influences of my culture, but it's not like the only thing about him. There's so much more to him than just that. And I like how you handle it. You've handled it very deftly. You know, you're able to do that, but not be so heavy-handed about it. I think that I can definitely even see, like we were talking about color. You know, a lot of the Aztec art that I've seen, the color for the Aztec art is so rich. It's so vibrant. But you don't have to get like all deep into that. You can see the influences of your culture being put into that. Were these like conscious things, or was it just subconscious? Like were these things that you really planned?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I definitely planned around a lot of that stuff. You know, having that experience of seeing those previous shows that, you know, like I said, you know, some brilliant stuff that just gets overlooked because it doesn't get the big audience. You know, so I wanted to make sure that, especially because I'm doing this Kickstarter, because I'm doing all of this stuff, you know, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't pushing my beliefs or my culture down somebody's throat, right? It's basically, here's a fun story about the question that we asked, right? We started off with the question, can a 5-year-old take on these very dangerous monsters and still have time for a nap? And that's the overall question, right? That's everything stems from that. And the fact that I'm Mexican, the fact that I'm, you know, et cetera, has nothing to do with it, but it has everything to do with it, because the person behind it is that, right? It is all of those things. So when you talk about the color, I'm drawn to bright colors. I'm you know, that's naturally where I go. And it happens to be that for kids, contrast is a big thing, right? So it plays really well into the fact that you know, these colors and the contrast that goes into the color choices that are being made, it plays well for this audience as well. So, you know, for me, I'm trying to put those things in without you know, hitting you over the head with it, in other words. So it is very important to me. But I'm trying to sneak it in.
Yeah, I think you did it. I think you were very successful with it. And you know, when we're looking at it, actually, let me I'm going to solo out your camera so we can kind of like get a better look at what you're doing. Hold on a second. There we go. So you're on the spot. It is upside down, but I think you'll get a good idea of it. It's okay. We'll leave it like it is. But yeah, I'm going to give everybody a heads up. We are at 6 minutes in. I mean, we have 6 minutes left. Hopefully, we're going to get a lot of people drawing with us.
All right, what else can I add here?
Don't forget, if you're drawing with us, just let us know so we can take a look at it.
Absolutely.
Post it on the art show page so we could take a look at it after this.
Mm-hmm. So I know we're drawing Hero here, but we're not going to be going into Sid and the brothers, the relationship. Do you want to talk a little bit about that aspect of it? I mean, what was you have to forgive me. I forgot what the exact meaning was behind, having these kind of like ghostly figures that are like giving him advice. Would you like to like let our audience know a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So it goes a little deeper, but basically the idea is you have the different parts of the identity, right? You have the id, the ego, and the super ego, and
Wow.
These guys are, if you really look at it from that perspective, there's one character and one part of your brain that is like, I just want candy, right? And it's just going to go for candy. But the other part of your brain is pulling you back and saying, hey, you probably shouldn't have candy the first thing you do as you wake up, right? Let's do this, 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 and this. And it's very orderly. And then there's that other part of your brain that's just like, I'm going along for the ride, right? So that's basically, when you like really break it down, the psychology of it is basically how does the 5-year-old mind work? And for me, this is the way it worked, right? I had these choices to make as a kid, and basically I'm trying to show that not crazy. You had these voices, you have not necessarily voices, in that gloomy sense, but you have these choices to make. You're negotiating with yourself as to what to do, when to do it, should you do it, that kind of thing. And those are the parts that I'm trying to show with the 3 different characters and how they're interacting with each other. And that's why the brothers are always yelling at each other and battling over his attention, because it is his choice, right? It's that third part of your brain that actually makes the choice to, to be very, very basic and go for those, do the things that the basic part of your brain needs and wants, or to go with something more, more thought out, planned, and all of that good stuff. So, a lot of the story revolves around him making these choices, based on the information that he's given at the time.
That is brilliant. I think if I had a psychology class, that would have made me more interested in learning psychology if it was put to me on that terms. And I think it's so neat that you've distilled that down into your comic book. I mean, you just busted out those ego, id. You start like just really like getting deep. And here I was like, whoa, I'm getting schooled here. I'm like learning more about psychology here. This is a kids book here, and it's
yeah.
I think that apparently I don't have that little voice in my head, or that person on my shoulder that's telling me, oh no, maybe Gerald, that's not such a good idea. I just have the gung-ho guy that's just like, go for it, man. Just go ahead and have that extra cookie. Go ahead.
Right. I mean, I have the voice. I just don't listen to it.
Oh, it's so funny.
Not as much as I should,
Yes.
But I mean, that it's nothing new, right? The idea is not new.
Yes.
It's not something unique to my comic or my story. But it is definitely something that's like cartoons. You mentioned cartoons and how this reminded me of a cartoon, and thank you so much, Vic, for that comment. But you see this idea played out in comics so much, or in cartoons so much, right? Especially like Looney Tunes and stuff, old school stuff, where like you have the angel and the devil on either side, and that's like, I think to me that feels more polarizing than these 2 brothers, right? Because you're that basic part of your mind that's like, I don't know what it could be, right? But it's like go smash that window. That's not necessarily an evil act. It's just like, oh, I want to hear how that glass sounds as it's breaking, right? That's a very basic like ASMR type need that your body has and that your brain has. And it's not necessarily evil. It's that other part of your brain that tells you, hey, you probably shouldn't do that because that's somebody else's property. Right. And if you decide to do it anyway, that's when things, go wrong. That's when you start becoming, that other, right? But those two voices are not necessarily good and evil. It's just, thinking things through, reasoning, and the things I want, right? The things I think I need versus the things I actually need. And that's I think turning that that trope around on its head a little bit. And I'm trying to do that a lot with, now that I think about it, with a lot of the things that I'm doing with this book. But really it's like, just I guess I guess the big thing would be like, how can I rethink this idea of the good versus evil, and that was my answer is it's two brothers. They're not good or evil. It's just like that's just the way things come down sometimes,
Yeah, and I like that approach because sometimes the whole thing of like good and evil, the concepts can be a little bit frightening, I guess, to kids and stuff like that. But when you have it, when you basically put it as two brothers that are like his, and it's not necessarily good and evil. It's more about, hey, these are different ways of looking at it. And I think it's learning that there are different perspectives, I guess, ways to approach things. And ultimately, you as an individual, for kids, is for them to make that decision and understand consequence. I think that's the thing, is that really understanding what consequences are. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's actually a big lesson that we've talked about a lot is, it's not, you can't blame it on, so-and-so told me to do it. It's like, you have your own mind and you can share, you can make those decisions on your own. And we've discussed that a lot, here with the little guy. He's at that age where, now friends are starting to get in his ears, and, there's different ways of thinking about things. So, a lot of it is going to come down, for him to really make those choices. And for me, this is the best way that I could explain it is you have these two brothers, right? They're not good or bad. They're just both making different points.
Yeah. Wow. I want to keep on going down that path, but unfortunately we've hit our 15-minute mark. Unless you want more time, this is what I will always give our guests the benefit of the doubt. Do you want to spend a little bit more time fleshing this out, or do you want to move on to completing this and going on to the challenge number 2? And that's for you, Edgar.
Oh, we lost audio.
Oh, we did. Edgar, can you hear us?
That's weird.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was saying I think we're good. I was trying to draw upside down and I think I failed.
No, look at. Oh, okay. Here, I'm gonna solo this out. Oh, actually, Vic beat me to it. I think one of the challenges that we've had in the past with Rick as my co-host was a dexterity challenge, and it was like drawing upside down. And here we got Edgar did it by himself. You still killed it. You did a dexterity challenge. You did it upside down, and you still got it. You still hit all the defining characteristics of Hero, and I love it. I think it looks really cool. We only had like 15 minutes to do it, but I think that this is an excellent representation of what we talked about in terms of like things that I noticed about your style. Having that kind of like that street urban graffiti style that's cartoon friendly at the same time, and I'm eating it up. Vic, what do you think about it?
Oh, this is really cool. I like this. It's so much reminds me of the cartoons when I was younger, where you had like these heroes that were just super cool looking. You could see them on a toy, and Yeah, I love this. This is awesome.
Yeah,
I don't know how you did this upside down.
I know. And this is the thing. Vic made a good point. This would easily translate. It's like, sometimes we get so caught up in detail and putting every little muscle, sinew, and things like that chainmail, like drawing every chainmail link. But what I like about Edgar here is that he's broken it down into forms which would translate to a toy, so easily, because he thinks from a toy creation standpoint as well. So let me go ahead and my co-host here. Let me go ahead and show this. Oh my gosh!
Nice.
Check this out. Oh, okay. Before I say anything, I'm gonna let Edgar take a crack at it. What do you think about this version of Hero here?
I love it, man. It's great. I love just the sense of like it has that little tinge of deviousness to it. You could see the smirk going on in the smile, which is really good.
I don't think it's going to be on any kids' cartoons, though.
Probably, I think that this, if you wanted to do, I think a good example is like, I think there was like a Thundercats version where they had the Thundercats from the 80s, and I think in the 2000s they came up with this really cartoony version that's like kind of like cutesy, like I forgot what the name.
Network, right?
Yes, I forgot what that is, but it's like there's like a interpretation of Hero. If you were to do like the Todd McFarlane Spawn version of Hero, this is the guy you need to talk to. You need to talk to Vic about it. But I think this looks really cool. And let's see. Let me go ahead and show my humble version here. So I want to draw the sword of swordiness.
Nice.
There too. But I think both Vic and I kind of like, I think we realize that we don't have your strengths when it comes to like making it that more cartoon friendly. I think we make it a little bit too MCU comic book looking, but we had a good time with it. I think this is one of those things that we really enjoyed it. All right, did Gabe draw anything? Can we show what he did?
He opted to draw something different. Let's see.
Oh, he did. Okay, let me get mine out and let me solo that out. Okay.
Tell him what it is.
It's a key that's going into a keyhole, and this is upside down.
It's upside down?
On the screen.
On the screen. Okay.
He draws upside down too.
It's a key that goes into a keyhole.
I see.
Very
so
cool.
Is this going to be like a teaser for some sort of like key thing and a key element in the issues 4 through 6 in AmeriKaiju?
I'm sure it'll sneak its way in somehow.
For spoilers. That's what I'm doing. So.
He worked on that, and then we'll work on a monster next, right?
Oh, okay. All right.
He wants to show off his other spiral.
Oh, I wish that it's You might want to hold it up a little bit closer to the camera because it's kind of getting a little washed out. Let's see if we can.
Yeah, I think it's my overhead light here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see some of the lines there. So. Oh, okay. Is it kind of like a snake or a caterpillar or some sort of?
What is it they're asking?
It's a big to small line path.
Oh, okay, it's just a line path.
Oh, a line path.
Big to small.
We do a lot of these practice like drawing lines, drawing zigzags and squiggles to help him control the pencil a little bit better.
Oh shoot, that's the secret. I need
We're gonna have to do a class with him.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take some lessons.
Yeah, I mean, I still think back to the lessons I got. My mother, to this day, my handwriting is horrible, but my mother always had me like sit down and draw like circle across the page, and it was like fill up a whole page of that ruled college ruled thing, and you're just making circles so that you get better penmanship. Yes. And instead, what happened is I ended up drawing well, and then my penmanship is still like it still looks like I'm a doctor or something.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I always got my first bad grades were in handwriting, so I totally feel you. All right, and I'm gonna have to like take some lessons with Gabriel. Maybe I can become a better artist with my line control. But here we had some comments. I'm gonna before we get to our next challenge, I want to just run into some of these comments.
Also, we have some posts on Art Show.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Nice.
I'm gonna go through the comments, and you get those art show things ready to go.
All right.
And we'll go right into that. So here we go. We got a lot of comments that happened. Let me scroll up here. Okay. We got Roy with his beads of, his words of wisdom. Gerald's 100%. I'm 100% right. What? Let's strike that wisdom's comment. AmeriKaiju's primary selling point is a freaking awesome comic glazed with interesting cultural. Yes. Okay. I will take that. That is so true. That's just testament to the genius of your work, Edgar. You found a way to kind of to really share those concepts without being so heavy-handed about it. I love that. We got somebody saying, we got Saeed saying love psychological stories, and it's on a level that I think adults and kids can kind of grasp. I really like that. We got Saeed saying, I will look for this next month or when I have the budget. Oh, we got some new fans here for you, Edgar.
Well, the good thing, Saeed, is that we are doing a special on the digital version of the comic, so you can pick up digital for very cheap compared to print.
Oh, good. So we're gonna have some digital tiers available.
Yeah.
What is it? We also have Roy talking about, man, Edgar's so deep into this, I'm beginning to question my parenting decisions. Yeah, I think Roy has 2 young children as well. He has a third coming in I believe it's February, maybe. But
very cute kid. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're gonna definitely see.
Oh man, you're gonna be busy.
Yeah, I think he may be sending you direct messages. Edgar, how can I get my kids to help me with my comic book? We'll see how that goes out. We got Maverick here. Definitely, maturity comes in the form of taking responsibility as an individual rather than blaming the world. See, I like how these are concepts that adults should heed, and you found ways to put this into your comic. I think it's one of those things that maybe they need to have your comic book taught in psychology classes.
Well, I don't know that it's that deep quite yet, but definitely, I wanted to get these lessons out there for my son, and for other folks to enjoy, but without being too preachy, and hopefully it's not coming across as preachy in the comic. It's a little bit more like the lessons there if you want to take it, if you're reading into it that well, but if not, then
yeah,
it's still there.
Yeah, it is definitely there. Here we got more comments. Maverick is talking. He's like, having a brother, I agree. We've all had our fair share of battles in terms of thinking, but nowadays we've gotten to the point where we understand each other. I think that's a future battle for Gabriel and Christopher to deal with.
Sure. I mean, there are already battles over Legos and over everything that you can imagine around the house. But
oh my gosh, you got a father who creates toys. Oh my, it's like I don't know how you can top that. It's like Legos mean nothing when my dad can create toys. And here, this is my feeling. Somebody just wrote
for him. Legos are everything. So.
Yeah, so Sarah just wants to say, wow, that's me. I'm just saying, wow. And I got Maverick who's saying, y'all killing it. We got more Maverick here. If I ever have kids, help me out. So you're gonna have to have a second job where you can help, parenting, comic creation wisdom from a parent, for perspective. Yeah. Let's see. Gabriel's dropping Easter eggs. Yeah, here we go. We got it's Kingdom Hearts series in one drawing, all in one drawing. We got Sarah saying this is fine. Oh, this line practice is used.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Tried and true techniques. I draw on my notebooks, man. I guess my teachers just don't know how to read hieroglyphics. Yeah, I think I was too fancy with my. I put too many embellishments in my cursive handwriting. I don't even think they teach cursive anymore.
Yeah, they stay away from it.
Yeah, stepping on Lego is painful. You can imagine how stepping on a tiny little person kaiju feels. That's going to be pretty painful as well. And then we got Maverick with ha 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 ha. Yeah, we're all having a great time. All right, so I'm gonna hand this over to to Vic. Vic, you want to let's hit the art show and see what other people have drawn.
Yeah, look, this is from Sarah. Sarah posted this one just a minute ago.
Oh,
Love it.
Yeah.
This is very
Good
cool.
job, Sarah. Yeah.
She rushed home from her class apparently just to do this with us. So thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, and Sarah is a big fan of the Disney style too. So I think that you can see that in all of her artwork. And she's definitely trying to experiment more with dynamic poses. I saw some of her other pages, so check that out.
Okay, let's see who else we got here. Let's see if this will close. We also got Roy, who's always killing it. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. So Roy is the one who was asking for parenting knowledge from you, Edgar. So
yeah.
You can see his interpretation here.
That's a beautiful piece, man. So clean.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, you'll show
Roy is definitely very clean. This looks like something that could be there's like a new Masters of the Universe line that's more geared towards younger kids, and they're like they've made He-Man's proportions even like more crazy.
Yeah.
It's like I think this would be like right in line with that. It's like if Hero were to go to Eternia.
I love how faceted everything is, and that's actually a really big positive here, that things are so like it's basic in a good way, because you're reading the shapes and your imagination is filling in some of those other parts, and it's gorgeous. Thank you, Roy. That's awesome.
You hear that, Roy? You're getting endorsement there. It's like it's the less is more school, where you basically you don't have to over render. Your mind will fill in the blanks in terms of like when you can use fewer strokes. Looks really, really cool. And let's see. I'm not sure if anybody. Let me go to the art show real quick and see if.
See, right now he's sharing the screen, so when he stops sharing, then we can show it. Okay. That way he can make it really big. Okay. And just while you're doing that, speaking of Legos, he can show off his latest Lego masterpiece that he did all on his own.
Please do. Let me solo that real quick. Hold on one moment. All right, you got the full screen.
He's been itching to show off this helmet.
That looks insane. I didn't even know they made a Lego like that. That's the Imperial TIE Fighter pilot, right?
Yep.
Yes. And I also have a Darth Vader one that I did not build yet.
You did not build? Who built it?
No, he's not. He hasn't started it yet.
Oh, you haven't built it yet. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, these are saving grace, because they take him a few hours. And it's not something I feel so guilty to let him do on his own,
Well, I think Legos are a great, aside from like stepping on little pieces and causing excruciating pain, they are really tremendous teaching tools. I think they really are. And it requires patience and dedication and precision. So
yeah, they do a really great job of illustrating the directions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he's been working on these. And then I would give this one maybe a week before it gets transformed into something else.
Well, that's the best part. You use the instruction booklets, you build whatever they tell you, and then you take it apart and you build something that's 100% you. And
I'm more of the Will Ferrell, take out the glue and let it stay forever. But he is quite the opposite. He's just like the kid in the movie, where he's just like, nope, it's now this, and he has a bunch of these sets and he mixes them up all the time.
Yeah, everything is awesome, right? Everything is awesome.
Yeah, and for my Tatooine set, I mixed up a few of the extra pieces and turned it into a fire blaster for the Tusken Raider.
Oh, wow. Cool. You know what? We're definitely going to have a Gabriel episode. We're going to talk Legos and, anything your heart desires. We're going to basically because I'm going to try and get more spoilers out of you, so that way I can learn what's going to happen in AmeriKaiju, 4 through 6. All right. So let's get to our next drawing challenge. And that drawing challenge, it's known as the co-host challenge. And my co-host, as we all know, is Vic, and this is his first show. So that being said, he came up with a really brilliant idea for this first co-host challenge. It's probably going to get refined a little bit more here and there, but today we're going to debut it. I'm going to give the mic over to Vic, and Vic can explain what this is going to be. And I think he has some examples to kind of like show and for everybody to kind of look at. So Vic, tell us about the co-host challenge for today.
All right, the co-host challenge is going to be something I came up with. We're going to be calling it The Line is Drawn, where we're going to be giving you a scribble little line that our one of our guests today, Gabriel, drew for us. And the idea is that you look at his scribble and you come up with whatever you can think of. Let me put it up here. This is what Gabriel came up with. Let's see here. Let's go full screen.
All
so
right.
This is actually on. You can go to either the art show page and take a screen cap, copy it, whatever you want to do. You could put a paper up to the screen and just trace right over this right now if you want. The idea is come up with an idea for this, draw whatever you see. I know a lot of artists use this as an exercise to stay loose, but whatever you see, whatever you come up with, draw it out of this. You can flip it over, you can turn it on its side, whatever you see. We just want to see everyone being creative, and once the time limit's up, post it on the art show so everyone can see.
Awesome. All right. So, for those of you who are doing digital, definitely go to the art show, our sister page, and you can download it. You can just draw right on top of it. For me, I'm doing it traditional, so I just did it. I just tried to
copy the scribble.
I emulated the scribble, so we'll go from there. And I know that Edgar is doing traditional too, so I'm going to get his camera back up. Let's add that back to the stream.
Hopefully it's right side up this time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. It's perfect. So what we're gonna do is I'm probably gonna put a little pressure on you. I'm gonna solo your cam throughout this drawing process, because this is something that Vic came up with this idea, but it was something that Edgar has mentioned that he shares this exercise with his son. They do something very similar. So I'm interested to see what Gabriel does as well. So that being said, I'm going to start the clock at 15 minutes. And just like before, if you decide to draw along with us, mention it in the comments field that you are, and post it to the art show, and we'll share it at the end of the show.
I turned the shape into this.
Oh, you've already done it? You're done?
Oh,
yeah, he was drawing while we were
okay.
working.
All right, do part 2. Let's do a second one. Okay. All right, the clock is officially starting right now. And I'm going to solo you out, Edgar.
No, it's fine. Just draw on the back of the key.
Yeah. And
okay. Do you want to draw with pencil? Draw with pencil.
That one's mine.
Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. Let's start drawing. And I'm just going to throw a question out there. I don't really do this kind of exercise, but I think I should, because I think it would probably make me a more creative thinker. Edgar, you mentioned you do this.
Yeah, we do. We do this quite a bit.
Uh-huh. So how complex do these scribbles start out with?
I'm turning it into a state.
Oh, typically it's like an all-over squiggle.
Uh-huh.
We do this a lot, either with scribbles or with we have this travertine tile that I'll bring out the travertine tile and I'll throw some water on it. Uh-huh. And basically he'll pick out a couple areas where we should look at, and because the travertine takes up water different every time, you get a different shape, and
very cool.
And it really helps to bring out these like really awkward shapes, but typically that's what we do. We pick out a different shape every once in a while, and we'll draw on top of, we'll copy it to some degree, and we'll draw what we see. But it's the scribble is basically that same thing, right? But you can't cheat in that sense. Yeah. So let's show what you've done so far.
Oh, I want to see this. Oh, skateboard ramp.
Yeah. So you did a little skateboard ramp.
Same idea.
Hero does ride a skateboard in the stories, and it's one of the things that he's working on actively as a character, learning to ride his skateboard a little bit better and all that. So
goals, right? Gotta have goals.
You know what? I'm going to change my mind about this.
And for the pillow mountain that we were talking about, I also used a pencil to get better grip on the pillows.
I actually didn't hear you. What did you say, Gabriel?
And for the pillow mountain that we talked about earlier, I
Uh-huh.
also used a pencil to get better grip on the pillows
Oh,
because they're
very
kind of
cool.
slippery.
slippery pillows.
Yeah. Plus, it's hard to climb. It's hard to climb it's hard to climb a pillow mountain that's taller than yourself.
That is so true.
That is true.
If I ever had a pillow mountain, I'm sure.
Yeah,
that'd be
because
something complicated.
because when I finished climbing the pillow mountain, I was about I don't know, like 3 inches in the air, but it was super high, and yeah.
Okay. Just remember to talk when they stop talking. Okay, that way we don't interrupt.
Oh no! Go ahead and speak. We don't want any dead air. And I think that Gabriel is a part of this whole hero AmeriKaiju experience. So by all means, tell us a little bit more. So wait,
he's one that can easily talk through a couple hours. So you won't have dead air.
It also it also takes us like 30 minutes to climb up the mountain if we take like every pillow in the house.
That's true.
How many pillows you got in your house?
I don't know.
You should ask his mother.
It's like, and who cleans up the pillows after they all get into one location of the house?
I don't really know. It's
a mystery.
Oh, okay, I see.
Plus,
Ask
I
his mom if it's a mystery.
also did this thing where me and my baby brother made this homemade grappling hook out of this Ninja Steel toy claw that I got, and then I tied 2 ropes together, and then tied that long rope to the Ninja Steel claw, and then I just threw it over the mountain, and it got stuck in the pillows. So I spent a lot of time getting it out of the pillows.
So for those that are into Power Rangers, he just dropped a few Power Ranger terms in there. The whole Ninja Steel and all of that. Those are toys that he got from when I was at Saban Brands.
Yeah, and I also got this mountain climber thing from Ninja Steel that looks like it's like this it looks like it's a water gun, but it also has a piece of plastic that looks like it's metal. So I thought, hey, I can use this to climb the pillow mountain.
That's right.
Ooh. Nothing like making homemade grappling hooks at home.
Right. While we're talking, do you remember the question that he asked earlier about your favorite monster?
Oh yeah. Have you figured one out?
No, not yet.
No, not yet. Okay.
The show is not over. So you got time. You got time.
Sounds like you have unlimited ideas, Edgar, because your son's he just turns them out.
No.
Yeah.
You probably walk around. You walk around with a pad of paper all day, just like, what was that? What was that?
Keep talking, sir.
No creative block when it comes to Edgar.
There's plenty of creative blocks.
Yeah, they're in the form. The blocks are little toys that are like block toys that are everywhere.
Now, Gabriel, what's your favorite part of the book so far? I know your dad's probably going to have to censor you, so
I haven't really.
You don't give too much away.
I haven't really read the comic yet.
What?
You haven't?
Yeah.
He's like, Dad, just make it happen. I already know what's in the book.
But what's your favorite part of the comic? Not of the story. They're asking about the comic in general. The whole thing. Do you like Hero's costume? Do you like the skateboarding? The monsters?
I like that part of the comic where he appears in like this magic part of the forest where he steps on something and then he's like, "Ow, my leg hurts." That part that I only saw in 2020 that disappeared until right now.
Right. We edited a few of those moments, but I'm pretty sure that's in issue 3.
Okay, so that's not a spoiler then. Yeah, unless you don't have issue 3, which you have to do. You have to make sure you go to Edgar's site, get issue 3, so you can know about that particular moment.
Daddy, what is where did you get this?
I don't remember, Mom.
Because this guy looks really, really familiar.
I'm sure he does. He's a big character, but I don't know. So, can you tell them about what do you think? Can this be a cartoon? Can this be anywhere?
Since Little People is a cartoon, I think we can turn the Little People AmeriKaiju stuff into a cartoon.
Uh-huh.
I don't really remember what channel the Little People show was on, but we do have a lot of little people.
We do have a lot of
playing around our house. They magically appear on the floor, and then I'm like, ouch. Did I step on one of Turkey's toys again?
I think we're gonna have to get on the horn with the whoever the company is that makes Little People.
Yeah, for sure.
And, well, I mean, you're doing. Let's talk a little bit about that too. You're doing your own toys. I refer to them as kind of like boutique. Like they're custom, toys and things like that. I mean, are you thinking about just like possibly if you could sell it to a larger toy company, or do you envision just doing them all by yourself? I mean, what is your game plan?
Yeah, for the toys, I think because of the nature of what they are, it's going to be something that I do on my own, and that's something that I've been, really blessed with. I mean, as everything in my life, I think, I've been really blessed with having that ability to make these toys on a whim, right? I mean, I thought of this idea, and within 2 months, I had a sample in my hands. I had all of the physical pieces. So the I think you can see it on the screen here. The
oh wow,
the little figure.
Oh,
there it is.
Cool.
The little figure. I had this guy sculpted after I did my control drawings there, or the turnarounds, orthos, however you refer to them. After I made them, it was simple and easy for me to take that and then send this model to my factory and have them churn it out. And again, I've been very blessed with that, but obviously it's also been a lot of work on my end throughout the years to get to that point to where I'm able to do that. But the reality is, for the toys, it would be more of something, a more private thing that I control, that I have. But ultimately, with this, the dream is to have this be an animated show. And if that were to happen, then then we would be able to make a lot more things happen.
Can I talk more about the Legos?
Of course, you can talk about Legos.
Well, it's actually pretty weird, but there's actually different and lots of colors inside the helmet.
They can't see that one right there, Mama. You have to
Lots
show
of
it
color.
here.
Is this like
There's like lots of colors inside the helmet.
Is this the?
He's taking his. Let me show them this.
Yeah, there's lots of colors inside the
He's
helmet.
taking his helmet apart.
Oh,
Showing you the inside.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So the truth of the matter is that Imperial TIE fighter pilots aren't all just doom and gloom black. They
Yeah,
have-
because you
they have
know that
purple
they
inside.
have this little
Let him talk.
pack on their chest, and
Uh-huh.
it has different colors on it.
Mhm.
That's neat. Very cool.
All right, what do you think? What should we add to him?
We should add falling sunglasses.
He's wearing sunglasses.
No, we should add falling sunglasses.
On top of. So another pair of sunglasses.
Yes. And then
Oh.
another pair, and then another pair, and then another pair, and then another pair, and then a falling brick from the corner over here.
It's gonna be
Okay.
the sunglasses of sunglassiest. Just like the sword of swordiness. It's going to be the sunglasses of sunglassiest or whatever. I don't know. That sounds so funny.
Oh, and I added to my skateboard.
You added more?
Yeah.
You have to show it over here.
So do you skateboard, Gabriel? Is that the reason?
No.
No. Okay.
Not quite yet. He's still trying to get the hang of it.
Okay.
Yeah, plus I haven't even been able to fly that skateboard.
Yeah, Dad's not a skateboarder. I never quite got into it. I always wanted to. I was always jealous of kids that were able to skateboard. But he's actually picked it up pretty well. But there's so much I can. There's only so much I can give him as advice.
I've done a really funny thing where I lay down on the skateboard and it's like the long way is going this way, and then I'm laying down where the skateboard is going on my chest, and then I usually do that to go rolling to the side.
Oh man, I that sounds dangerous. It's like if you're like me, Edgar, it's like I'd never picked up skateboarding because I'm such a klutz that I would probably break my leg the first time I got on the skateboard. So it would not be. It would. That's why I decided to draw.
Yeah, it feels like that's the safer route, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I can draw somebody on a skateboard.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and now he's drawing the falling brick.
The falling brick. Okay.
Yeah, he's requested a brick.
Brick. Okay, just to give you guys a heads up, we got 1 more minute to go, and let our audience know that we have 1 more minute to put your finishing touches. Or again, also, it's like you can actually refine these a little later on, but and post them to the art show. Edgar, if you're wanting to, you can also refine or color.
Plus, I'm not just really into Marvel; I'm really into superheroes.
You are. Okay.
Yeah, but I've watched Spider-Man Homecoming about 130 times already.
I believe you. It's a great movie.
Gabriel, me and you are going to be best friends. So we'll talk about Marvel and Spider-Man all day.
Yeah. Did you watch No Way Home already?
Yes.
So what'd you think of all? I guess we're safe to talk about. Well, I'm going to say it. We're going to talk about spoilers.
Say it.
Yeah, I'm really excited that Green Goblin's back.
Oh, okay. So is Green Goblin one of your favorite villains?
Yeah, and at the end of the movie, there's this really funny part with.
Let's make sure we don't give away the story.
Yeah, there's just this really funny part at the end of the movie with Eddie Brock, and the story of Venom, and then he drops some goop on the table, and then there's this hand thing that goes right out of the goop, and then that's the end of the movie. It's no cuts, and that's the end of the movie.
Okay, yeah. I like the drop some goop. That's a good way of. That whole thing.
He's just as drawn to Venom as I was as a kid, and I didn't understand the storyline or anything. But he's sort of in the same boat. He's watched the first movie.
Yeah.
Right. But
I haven't watched it since 2021.
Oh, so long ago.
I haven't watched it since last year's. I think it was. I haven't watched it since
early last year.
Yeah, I think I haven't watched it since July 5th.
Wow, you got a memory like an elephant.
We definitely watched it, and I didn't remember how outright gory and stuff like that.
I just really want to watch Let There Be Carnage, the new Venom movie.
And he's been asking about that, and Mama has a different feel for what he can and can't watch than Daddy. So we're trying to balance those things out right now with him, but those Sony movies, man, they're a little different than the Disney stuff.
I know, totally.
Where he's holding the guy, then he looks at his fist, and then his arm is black, and then it just keeps going.
All right. Well, I would definitely.
And then there's so many window crashing, and then one of them he completely jumps out of the window, and then I can't really explain it, but he smashes a police car.
Yeah.
Venom does?
Eddie Brock just jumps out the window and smashes a police car.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to check that out now that I got your endorsement, but I totally understand. It's like the movies that we grew up with, it's kind of like when you watch them again with your kids, you know, or in my case, my nieces and nephew. It's like, wow, they got a lot of way. They got away with a lot of stuff in the '80s,
Right.
and even now,
Well,
it's like
see,
I have to like wow.
that's the thing about uncles. They can get away with it. You can
Exactly.
be like, hey, you can see this. Like, cool. Uncle Jarrell showed us this movie.
Yes. I'm gonna tell you guys that
there's a new movie that we rented last year, and then now I think it already came out because there's a new G.I. Joe Snake Eyes movie, and I really like it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we rented it.
Check that one out.
They have to move on to the next part of it.
Right. I think that's great. I'm gonna have to. I want to say that my nickname here because I'm actually broadcasting from my sister's house. My nieces here call me Tito Bad Idea, which is like Tito Bad Idea. So I have a nickname around here for that. But let's go ahead and look at the artwork here. So right now we have Edgar's art. Your art cam is soloed right now. And I think this is great. Look at that. Do you want to explain a little bit where you incorporate? I mean, I can see it, but I'll let you walk through it in terms of where the stroke is. Yeah, there it is.
And there, I think.
Yeah, and it turned.
I think that's where it was originally.
Yeah, it turned into sunglasses upon sunglasses.
Yeah, we got input at the very end. Sunglasses on top of sunglasses.
Is this going to be a character in the book, or what exactly, or is this something that for fun that you came up with?
Just for fun, a quick.
Very cool. I like how this exercise in terms of like where you can put the line, figure out where the line is, and then just build off it. So let me get let's see, Vic in here. So let's look at Vic.
I stayed themed to the
nice.
to the show. So
you did. And it's now the profile. It's the profile shot here.
Yeah.
You see he turned the line from right here and over.
There you go.
Oh, look at the line. Right there. You see the line, Gabriel? Look at that.
Very cool. That's your line.
Oh.
That's my line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the line you came up with.
See, you drew the line like this. And he drew his line and had it sideways.
Yeah. If you look at the red, there's the red line right there. Look at that. Brilliant work. Brilliant work. All right. I'm going to show mine real quick. And then, Vic, if you want to look on the art show and let us know. If so let me add this.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Nice. You see how he put it here?
Yeah. Do you see?
Very cool.
And
here's my line, or actually, this is Gabriel's line, and I decided to keep it in the family. Is this?
That's Van.
That's Van. Okay, yeah. So I
nice
decided
gestural.
One of the brothers. So
yeah, he's the older brother that wants to plan everything out.
Oh, okay. He's a more cerebral, logical guy then.
Yeah.
And while we're looking at it, this is another thing that we kind of had talked a little bit earlier. We kind of hinted about it, and that's some of the cultural aspects of your particular heritage. And I liked this design because I didn't do the best example of it, but there are some themes in his armor that harken back to your Mexican heritage. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's everything from his shoulder pad that looks like a shield.
Right.
And of course, like I said, I noticed that you put a lot more detail into it, but I didn't get a chance to. But his belt and like even the ornaments around his chest. But I definitely saw some of those cultural things that you're trying to weave in there. But that's just a part of how he looks like. But it's not like saying, "Hey, this is all about me." It's just a really neat looking character.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, there's definitely some points on there that are design cues, the shape language that I'm using with Van that are going to lead into what we're doing later on. So I don't want to do any spoilers, but okay. You are right in terms of me adding some of those things. Growing up, skulls have always been a part of my upbringing in the best of ways. I think as a culture, we tend to look at death as not the ending, right?
Yes.
I think a lot of cultures can relate in that sense, but we end up using the skulls as a symbol of of happiness and ongoing.
Right.
The celebration of Day of the Dead is specifically that we put out the skulls, like the little sugar skulls, and typically they have a name written on them. So if a loved one is deceased, we'll write their name on the sugar skull, and we'll put out things that they liked, right? Because we believe that November 1st and 2nd especially is when those folks are able to come back and visit us, and with that we want to put out things that they like, if they liked sweet bread, or if they liked hot dogs, whatever, we put those foods out for them to nourish their souls for the coming year, and those are symbols that are very positive.
Yes,
in my life they're very positive. I know that a lot of folks tend to look at it in the the skull and crossbones means death, right? And
right.
Yeah, yes, but there are also other meanings behind those things, and in this case, that's where again I'm trying to take something that could be taken as a negative and turning it into a positive, and kind of imbuing the artwork a little bit more with that. But you'll see a lot of the way that the costumes are drawn out. If you look at some of the costumes and really not even costumes, but uniforms and stuff that used to be worn by those Aztec warriors and stuff, I tried to put a lot of that in there.
Yeah, and I can definitely see it, and I think that's cool, because I think if kids or even adults, if they read your book, it's kind of like it'll maybe encourage them to kind of look into those aspects of Aztec history, because they can see these unique forms, like you said, the shape language, which is very important in animation, very important. Well, actually, just in illustration in general, but from toy design, and in this case, it's that silhouette the character creates that makes them that makes them recognizable.
Yeah.
So those are all really cool lessons. Vic, did anybody draw along with us for this particular challenge?
Yeah, sure did. Let's see. Let me bring it up here. We have we have Sarah again.
Nice.
This awesome one. Like the way she used it as a frame. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Using it as a framing the artwork. That was really cool.
That is
she also echoed it in the I think they're horns or something that are on the side there. She echoed the shape there too, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I think she did it also like in the not only the horns, it's like I see it in so many places. I see that it's repeated so many places. She like leveled up. She totally went to the next level and incorporated that
That's really
line.
Cool.
Sarah, great job. Great job.
And then we have Roy again. Awesome as
nice.
I think
that's really cool.
Roy's getting ready for the monster challenge that's coming up.
Yeah.
It's very, very neat.
Awesome job as always, Roy.
Yeah, very good job. I after seeing that last night, I watched with my my nieces and my sister and brother-in-law. We watched that movie called Home, the animated movie. I don't know if you see it. It features the voice of Rihanna and J-Lo. Great movie. I'd never seen it, and it had so much humor. And it had an alien which had lots of like tentacle arms and like lots of feet and curly tentacles on his head. And it had the voice of Sheldon from Big Bang Theory.
Oh yeah, that's
it was very entertaining. I totally enjoyed it. All right, so let's get to our last challenge. And this is the big kahuna. This is the big deal because I've been so excited. Edgar, when he was on our show last time, he always brought some kind of neat thing. I think he gave away some original art last time, and so this time around, he came up to we were talking about him being on the show. And he brought his A game again in terms of like coming up with an idea that could really get our audience involved. And this time we have a unique opportunity to come up with a monster that could be featured in a future issue of AmeriKaiju. And we got the man himself. We got Gabriel here, who's the CEO, art director / majority shareholder in
editor-in-chief
AmeriKaiju. So he's gonna give us some parameters that we have to follow so that we can kind of have like a theme for this particular monster. Now I don't know if this monster is based on an American kaiju or if it's like just a monster that's off the wall. Who knows?
Yeah,
complete bonkers. But Edgar, you and Gabriel, just let us know what are the parameters so we can draw this creature.
Well, I'm hoping that he's come up with a favorite monster by now. If not, we can choose one. But do you have a favorite monster?
The Frogman.
The Frogman.
The Frogman.
Why the Frogman?
Because his story is really creepy.
Okay. Well, the Frogman. For those of you that don't know, there's a myth. I believe it's out of Mississippi. I for sure back east. But,
he's the Mississippi
basically
Frogman. Yeah.
There's it is Mississippi Frogman. Yeah. Anyway, there's different stories, but the basic idea is that there's a guy driving down the road. There's a street light under a bridge or next to a bridge, and he sees this man with his back turned and basically trench coat looking at this wall, and he stops to be like, hey, because it's a small town. Hey, what's going on? Are you okay? And slowly turns around, and it's this giant frog, and all of a sudden jumps away once he makes eye contact with the man. And beyond that, there were other stories of like even policemen that hunted this thing down, and there are other accounts, but the main story, the creepy factor that he's talking about is, middle of the night, this guy in a small town stops to ask this guy for, if he's okay. And, it's this giant frog. And I believe the account was that he was like 4 feet tall. It was like a 4 foot tall frog, and, jumped, a couple yards away from where he was. And also,
oh, gee, that's creeping me out. I can feel the hairs on the back of my neck, going up. It's like, it's sad when if I see somebody.
Okay.
Oh, what did he say?
He's gonna go by the heater.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's one of those things is that you want to be a good Samaritan. You might see somebody on the side of the road, and then it's like, oh, they're gonna have big frog eyes that are gonna come at you. So
yeah.
I saw this YouTube video of a magically expanding iron spider suit from the new movie, and this guy on YouTube, he just made this weird. He took the basic Iron Spider cloth costume and then made it disappear, and then there's this other guy that had this actual robotic Doc Ock arms thing, and then the Doc Ock arms guy was on top of the building, and then he said, "Hello, Peter,"
just like in the movie.
Yeah, and then the guy got out of the car. He climbed on top of his car, and then the suit actually appears when the sun hits you, and then he activates his balloon arms, and then he gets into a fight with the other guy.
Okay, let me finish. Okay.
All right. Before I can always stop to listen to those stories. It's great. I like it hearing perspectives from the younger crowd. I think it's always good to hear your point of view. Before we get into the live drawing challenge, I want to maybe pop up a few of these messages here real quick. So let's see. We got here from Christina. Is it Gabriel's voice on the AmeriKaiju videos on IG?
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
He's
so if you go on our IG and our TikTok, I'm horrible at TikTok because I feel like an old man when I do that. But if you go on there, Gabriel does a joke of the week, and we basically do some jokes. Do you remember any of your jokes?
Oh yeah, the alligator one.
Okay, tell them the alligator one.
What do you call an alligator in a vet?
Yeah.
An investigator.
But
did you come up with that yourself? Is that Gabriel?
I think for the most part he has a joke book, and he tends to remember everything from anything he's ever read.
There's 101 jokes.
Okay.
101 joke book.
Yeah, but some of them are not really appropriate for.
Okay, we'll save that for another show. It'll be the late night with Gabriel. He can tell us about that one. All right, so we have.
But yes, that is Gabriel. He does all our voiceover work.
That's awesome. So he's going to be a man of many talents. He's doing illustration. He's doing voice work.
There was this funny thing the video that we recorded, and I went, "Hey, can I still use this video?"
And we said, nope.
And then I went.
We're gonna have to teach you about I'm sure your dad will tell you all about copywriting and making sure that your voice is it's a ways to make money. So you got to make sure that you get your rights protected.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Here we go. So we got another comment here. You have a king in the making already there, Edgar. Jack Kirby didn't read his published works. That is so true. Jack Kirby was notorious for drawing everything, and once it was done, wouldn't go back and read it.
Yeah, he's not interested.
Well, I think Gabe's point of view is like, been there, done that. Let's move on to the next story. We hear Saeed can't seem to find the website, trying to type in the address and not finding. Is that for the AmeriKaiju comic?
Yeah, AmeriKaijuComic.com. You can also just type in AmeriKaiju.com and it'll redirect. I bought both sites to be sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no other
just commented
AmeriKaiju
right
out
now,
there.
so.
Yeah, a lot of people type American Kaiju, so just make sure it's just
AmeriKaiju.
AMERI.
Yeah. So do that. We will also, if you go into the Saeed, if you check in our comments field at the very top, we're gonna actually post this at the end, so people will be able to see that. As
Here, I'll show this because he just posted this.
Oh, but look,
I know
there you go.
Nice.
Awesome.
Got you some a new fan there. So we got Marius in here who says, "Awesome sketch work. Wouldn't have thought of doing it that way." I think he's referring to that whole sketch exercise. Really cool. So Vic, it's a hit. The mouse should pay Gabriel because he's doing a great job promoting it. All right, the mouse being Disney. I think we should see a check in the mail. Edgar.
Yeah, hopefully.
Let's see. We got Roy here. The only advice I probably will be able to give my kid regarding extreme sports is just don't fall, kid. I guess I was going back to the whole skateboarding comment.
Yeah.
Let's see. And here we go. I think that's pretty much, let's see, greetings. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and move to our last challenge.
Okay.
So now we know that we're going to be doing the Frogman, more specifically, the Mississippi Frogman. So we now know the urban myth, urban legend regarding about that. So be wary of any stranger that's on the side of the road who's staring at a wall and you can't see his face because he might be the Mississippi Frogman coming to your town. So this is the whole thing about this. As we draw, if you're in our audience and you want to draw along with us, it's important to note that of these things, we're going to put it before the CEO, Gabriel, and his vice president, Edgar, and they're going to judge and see whose artwork would be maybe featured in the actual comic book as the main antagonist, or maybe it might be a toy, or might be like a poster on the wall. I have no idea, but
or maybe it might be a show on Netflix.
There you go.
All of the time.
Listen to him. Listen to how he thinks. Totally. So
yeah, I think that the idea would be if I think Gabriel can give some suggestions as he normally does.
Yes.
Those would be our parameters, things that we should throw in. But aside from that, I think maybe start off with it's a frog man. Whatever that means to the audience, it's a frog man. And then what we'll do is I think we'll take everybody's sketches at the end, and I will create the monster using some of the things that they've put on their monsters, and create a one piece out of everybody's suggestions here.
Good clarification. We want to make sure that that's basically they're going to look at the art. You're going to look at the artwork and figure out how to incorporate that into the actual character that's going to be in your book.
Right.
Gotcha. All right. So like sky's the limit. Let's be fantastic. Let's come up with some unique plays on the Frogman. Think about any and everything that has to do with a frog, and maybe then some that's outside of the box. Okay. So I'm going to set the clock. We'll do it 15 minutes. And then just like before, we're going to solo your cam out, Edgar, so we can kind of see your thought process. And if we can get Gabriel, if Gabriel wants to draw along too, or if he wants to like give you art direction on the fly, he can definitely do that as well. But the time is starting now. Here we go. Let's draw the frogman. All right.
And while
So Edgar,
while
what got you into all the monsters, and was it something you just liked as a kid, or something you as
yeah,
you got
for
older?
sure, for sure. I mean, I think just like any kid, I can say that monsters were a big part. Starting from the Godzilla movies, right? I think everybody starts off there. It was just something that it caught my attention because it was just so cool looking.
Yeah.
And then from there, of course, I draw just about anything and everything on a daily basis, especially in the field that I'm in, where I'm designing toys, right? But overall, I basically the whole idea came from that one comment that I mentioned before, where it was, me. Leave it alone for a little bit, okay? Where it was basically me coming up with an answer to this negative comment that came through. And really that's where my focus changed to, let's just draw a bunch of monsters and see where that takes us, So that's where the whole monster thing has really come in. There's an affinity for monsters, but more so lately because of the comic, and in part due to that comment.
I was just thinking back to your comment about doing things out of spite, and it's kind of like somebody calls you out, and Edgar doubles down and says, "You know what? I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm just going to come up with my own book and base it all on monsters that are American." So I just think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks. It definitely is a slippery slope for me, because I end up going in so deep with this kind of stuff, and it's not easy for me to pull back. If I'm going to do something, I'm full bore going into it. So
yeah, don't do anything halfway, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I guess my little CEO here won't let me do anything halfway anyway. So
that's the accountability that we were talking about, the consequence, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about. So what? I don't know if this is going to be spoilerly. It's like what other monsters have you guys been thinking about, like that could be in the future? Like, do you have like a bookmark folder of like all these like monsters that are primed and ready to go for you guys to like think about for the next few issues?
Yeah, so for sure we have. I think our list is up to 14 or 15 that are coming up, that are going to be not just in the comic as like, they're fodder or they're in the background kind of thing, but more like they're going to be the main bad guy in that issue. And like the Mothman is going to be coming up very soon. Jersey Devil is one that we've been working on quite a bit. If you look at my IG, Gabriel and I just worked on, and actually my wife as well, we just worked on a new one that's not really part of the culture yet, but we've been having a lot of issues lately in our neighborhood with coyotes coming down, and they're really brazen. We have this really dumb app that's called Nextdoor, and I mean every neighbor posts every day as if it were something new, and it's like, coyote sighted on such and such street. Can you believe they're so brazen? And it's hilarious to me because if you have the app, you've seen the 50,000 messages that have come through about these coyotes. By now you should know, put your dogs away, the whole nine. But it's gotten so bad lately that they're out during the day.
Oh wow.
In packs. Yeah, I mean they're out, and they it doesn't matter if you as an adult go outside and it used to be where they would see an adult and they would run away.
Right.
They will walk right past you.
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
they do not care. You know, they're like, they fight with big dogs, and they, you know, they're at that point where they're hungry enough that they're just like coming through and terrorizing the neighborhood. So I drew a coyote that's yet to be named. I think Gabriel and I need to talk about that still.
Uh-huh.
We did put out a call for help on naming them, but you know, it's crazy. It's gotten that crazy that I was like, you know, I'm gonna make a monster coyote that can be thrown into the comic. So those are some of the things that we're doing for the comic specifically. And then we also you know, we also have the stuff that is more immediate, like the Jersey Devil design is pretty much there. The Mothman is in the works as well. A lot of stuff that's in the works for sure.
Yeah, there's no shortage of like monsters you can pull from, right? I mean, it's just a matter of them vying for how it's going to fit your story. Because
Right.
I think you mentioned how like the story, these AmeriKaiju are going to come together, right? So it has to fit your overall story, right?
Yeah, and that's the balancing act that we're playing right now. A lot of it is like, you know, we're trying to group them up into like manageable groups. So like there's going to be like a Bigfoot type of monster, and then there's going to be a water type monster. So we have things like
like the elementals from Far From Home.
Exactly.
Oh,
where there's basically groups of monsters that are gonna, you know, like maybe there's like smaller factions that are gonna be going around and doing stuff. So you know, we're working out what those things are and how we incorporate them into the storyline. But that's our basic idea there.
So are you thinking of possibly introducing any other like other hero type characters? Like, is it always going to be hero as the main protagonist, or like is there going to be like you mentioned Christopher? Do you think Christopher might have his own hero that's going to be in a future issue, or is that still?
So yeah, definitely. We're working on how to expand the team, and you'll see that actually coming up in issue 4. He's
with the remote.
Yeah, right now we're talking. Okay. We're going to be expanding the team, and how does he do that? And again, trying to figure out a way that's not so like, you know, these are the chosen ones kind of thing, and really more about like, you know, I did pose again, like with everything, I do consult with him, and it was like, you know, if you had to choose, you know, a few friends, how would you choose them to, you know, to do this? And it was like, oh, well, my best friends. And, you know, it's just, you know, so natural to him to make these decisions, you know, that I'm trying to incorporate as much of his direction as I can in these things. So that's coming up in issue 4.
Oh, okay, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
They need to have like some sort of like battle cry, you know, like Avengers Assemble. They have to come up with something when they form the team.
Yeah, for sure. And the nice part is that they're and this doesn't give any part of it away, but basically they're modeling, everything is modeled after his fictional character or hero, and this is where it gets a little bit confusing, but Ike is the little boy in the story, and his like fictional hero is named Hero Man, and it's this guy. It's basically think of like you know, movie a big movie star, and the guy's name is Hero Man, and you could guess where that came from, right?
Yeah.
Hero Man is a stunt man turned into a front man for these movies, these monster movies, and he's such a big fan of this Hero Man that he with a remote that he basically models himself after him, but he instead of being called Hero Man himself, he calls himself Hero. And the psychology behind that is, as a kid, he thinks, I'm not ready to be a man yet, so I'm just Hero. and Hero Man has a team of not necessarily backup or anything like that, and we'll actually get into why I'm saying they're not sidekicks, but it's they're called the Ready Rangers, and it's basically he's the big hero, and then he calls on help from the Ready Rangers, and there just happen to be another group of heroes that come to help him out, and we're going to be weaving some of that storyline into this because he's looking at that and he's thinking, well, if he's able to do that, why can't I do that? So to answer your question, yes, there's going to be more good guys. There's definitely going to be a lot more bad guys, and it's going to be growing. And hopefully, we can keep the focus on the main part of the storyline, which is, this 5-year-old growing into his own in general, and making those decisions on his own without the help of his mentors.
All I can say is like not franchising. It's like toy opportunities. The more characters that you can come up with, teams, that just means you can like really come up with like some ultra cool toys to go along with a comic book.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of that comes from, again, our childhood, right? I'm taking a page out of the Masters of the Universe and Ninja Turtles and all of those places. And I, as an adult, have formed my opinions on where they went wrong. Right. Of course, hindsight is 20/20, but like for me, I look at it as like, Ninja Turtles were amazing as toys right up until the point where it was like Donatello soccer kicking action, right? Like once they got into that, I was just like, okay, I'm off this train, But when it was just like, here's Spike, here's Rocksteady, and here's Bebop, and here, like, that's where I was buying everything. And as a 10, 11-year-old, that wasn't easy. I had to figure out how to hustle and get some money, because my parents were not about that. They were like, no, that's plastic, you're not getting that. How is this one different than that one?
And you became a toy maker. Oh, that's so, the irony in that is just amazing.
So now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, I'm not gonna, that, which is another reason why I want to control the whole toy part of it, is no, I don't want them to be like, Hero goes into space now, and Hero goes to the, is a, soccer hero, or he, those seem like they have nothing to do with the story and everything to do with money grab,
cash grab. Yep.
Yeah, it's a cash grab, right? And for this, I want it to be more purely about what is the story and how are we advancing the story through the toys,
right?
And my feeling on that is, the little people angle is basically appeasing a part of my childhood, but also answering the some people had the question as to like, what's the scale of these guys compared to each other, right? And the monsters on their own are about 8 feet tall, but when they group together, they're maybe 40 or 50 feet tall. And can they get bigger? And then we're going to start answering those questions as we move along. But that's, I want the toys to play part of the narrative and not just be like, here's another item for you to buy.
Right. You it's not just for the sake of selling a product. It's actually going to endear, I think, people that buy the toy, because it's going to be a representation of the story. Like it's tied
right
to the story. It's not just like you mentioned that whole thing about soccer Donatello. I was thinking of, for me, back in the 80s, is like, I love G.I. Joe, but then when they started doing like Eco Warrior G.I. Joe, it was like,
yeah,
it was like in neon colors. It's like G.I. Joe's not going to wear it.
G.I. Joe movie right now is probably
Snake Eyes?
since I haven't watched Snake Eyes in a very long time. I really like G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the first Snake. That's the second Snake Eyes.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to have movie night at the at Edgar's home, and we can all watch like cartoons together. I think that's
yeah, and we can watch Snake Eyes, the new G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah, we can.
There's never a shortage of pop culture at our place.
Yeah.
Gabriel takes care of that side of things.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I just got my phone just went off. We finished our 15 minutes. Do you guys need a little bit more time, or this is our last drawing challenge? So I'm okay with adding a little bit extra time if you feel like we need to, but it's completely up to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd rather take a look and see what everybody's come up with.
Okay. All right, so I guess we'll do officially pencils down.
How about it's raining? How about a falling brick and it's raining trash?
Raining trash.
Yeah, there's a falling brick and it's also raining trash.
Got it.
Raining trash. You know what? I've heard of raining cats and dogs, but raining trash, that's a whole new spin on it.
And one time, somebody in a classmate in kindergarten told me it's raining Gabriels.
Raining Gabriel. All right, that sounds. I hope
so you can see the drawings that people came up with.
Yeah, let's do that. So let me show Vic. I'm gonna put you up first. You can look at this. That is cute and horrific at the same time. It's you want to talk a little bit about your idea of Frogman? Oh my god.
I was like, I want to go funny instead of like super scary. This is what came into mind.
It's like
a giant Kermit is incredibly scary. I want to see Kermit versus Kong one of these days.
Kermit versus Kong. You heard it first. It's gonna happen. If Edgar doesn't do it, Vic is gonna do it.
I don't think Edgar could use this license, but
yeah, exactly. No, but you know, what I'm thinking is, 1 second. What I'm thinking is things like, something that's very emblematic with Kermit. There, go sit down. Is that his little collar, right? I mean, we don't have to use the entire thing, but I can use the collar and incorporate it into his design. I think that's a visual cue. That's easy to read, right? As a frog, like that's not something that a frog has, but it would be hilarious because it's a nice little nod.
Yeah, and I think that'll avoid any type of copyright infringement if we can manipulate that a little bit.
That's awesome. I love it.
I do too. And you know what? I'm just looking at like that car driving into the light, which is Kermit the Frog, the monster. That's what I said. It's so cute, but it's like it's horrifying at the same time. I don't know, Vic. I've been freaked out about clowns, but you putting this Kermit the Frog here and as the Mississippi Frogman, that's taking it to another level. All right, let's look at Edgar's real quick.
Oh,
look at really done yet. He didn't put the falling trash yet.
Yeah, I'm officially not done.
So you want to talk about your particular direction that you went with this?
Yeah, so I was too busy gabbing, but basically I have a few things because I've already drawn this monster early on for issue 1. But basically I added some cues from what I figured was around them, and I have the trench coat on him. It's kind of hard to see right now because it's going over his other leg and stuff. But basically, he has part of the trench coat, kind of like he ripped off the sleeves, and he's just wearing the trench coat. I added some fishing poles because when I think of Mississippi, I think of like fishing next to the what's the
pier, the dock.
Yeah. So fishing at the pier or whatever, and I forget what other things I added to this character, but those were the bigger ones that I remembered from this character.
Wow, just what you talked about. That's one of the things I got so caught up in like thinking about how the character looked but I didn't even really think about the accessories or things like that. And I like how you're incorporating, because I think this is also your toy creator mind at work. You know, how can I add accessories to accentuate, you know, this character design? It's like maybe you might want to add like not only the fishing, maybe like nets or like crab traps. I don't know, just things that you can kind of like add on top of him to make him an even more interesting frogman. Just really neat. And I looked at this, and when I looked at it, it kind of reminded me of like a Spider-Man pose.
A little bit.
It's so dynamic. Vic, did you get the Spider-Man vibe when you looked at it?
I did, but it's clearly the Frogman.
Yes, it is. But I mean, it's more the pose. It is definitely the Frogman. But but it
and that pose also shows in the new movie where he goes on top of the car.
Mm-hmm.
That's that exact pose.
And his new suit is made out of nanotech, so that surprises me.
Oh, so the Frogman has nanotech armor? Is that what you said?
No, he's talking about Spider-Man in the new movie.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that they use nanotech on his suit.
Oh, okay. Wow, I don't think I knew what nanotech was when I was a 5-year-old or 7-year-old. That's just really, really neat. All right, so let me show up mine real quick, and then Vic, if you want to check out the art show and see if anybody else drew along, but let me just add mine to the screen real quick. So
nice.
Oh, very cool.
So I decided to get a little bit, I don't know, like morbid with mine, because it's almost like maybe there's somebody that the Frogman ate, but has become part of the Frogman.
I love it.
He's inside the Frogman. I don't know. And I kind of did the little, you can see like little aspects of the high collar of the trench coat. And, you know, it's kind of like all raggedy. He's kind of like the Hulk, you know.
Yeah.
Except that he doesn't like get muscular big. He gets just kind of like bloated big. And it's kind of like popping his clothes, you know, like shredding his clothes a little bit. But it was fun. I love it. I never thought that I would be doing the Frogman, but it was interesting. I almost want to like go back and figure out how I can incorporate like fishing line or I think, you know, you're talking to you and hearing, you know, your inspiration behind things. And, you know, now that we finish these drawing challenges, we're going to look at some of your toy designs again and just seeing how you're able to like take, you know, other aspects of like found objects, incorporate them into like the armor or the costume details that go with the monsters. But before we get to that, let's hopefully we got some people. Did anybody draw along with us? Vic?
Yeah, we got another one from Sarah. This is what she has.
Nice.
Look at that.
With her Mr. X Frog Toad. I like his little frog legs hanging out, but he's got robotic legs to make him taller here. I like that. With the robot arms.
I totally get it. I would not have thought that's the nanotech. That's the nanotech.
Yeah.
No, nanotech is like a metal material that magically just crawls up your body. Then it turns.
Yeah, Jarrell.
I know. I totally screwed that up. That's cybernetic. Clearly, it is not nanotech. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
what was I thinking?
Because there's one nanotech Iron Man. I think it's Mark 17.
Mark 17. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, and he has a shield and little fly wings, and then he has this Guardians of the Galaxy Star-Lord knife thing.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that intergalactic nanotech.
Yeah, and I even have a Lego version of that one.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
We'll have to like check that out when you're going to be our guest.
Yeah, there's a Lego figure of that one.
All right. So that being said,
that was it for now. But if anybody has any that they're still working on, post it later so we could. Everyone can see.
And if it's okay, let me share the screen real quick so I can show you guys an example of.
Please do.
Some of the other. I think one of the ones that I think has worked out the best so far is this guy Busco. He's one of my favorites just because it was such an obscure and the story is really funny. But basically, this guy's a giant turtle, and he was out in the middle of I think it's Kansas for this one, and the guy that sighted him first was the farmer, and it was his lake where this thing was spotted. He tells some people in the town, like, hey, you know, this just happened to me. I saw this turtle that's the size of a VW bug, and everybody just kind of was like, yeah, okay, dude, whatever. He was so determined to find this thing and prove that he was telling the truth that he mortgaged his farm in order to drain the lake. And then once he, or actually before he even drained the lake, he part of that money went to buy scuba equipment so that he could go in and scuba dive to find this turtle. He ends up not finding him, so he drains the lake, bankrupts himself.
Oh my gosh!
And he never found it. Right. So that's the story behind this character. And for some reason, I'm still hearing.
Maybe let's see.
There we go. I lowered the volume on my phone.
Okay.
Anyway, so I took the story of this farmer trying to find this monster, and I basically incorporated that stuff into the design. So now the year was 1949, which is why he has that 49.
Oh.
The scuba gear. He's wearing old scuba helmets on his shoulder pads. He has the anchor on his fist. Those are all things that he's a giant turtle, but how can I incorporate this and make it my own, right? And that's really what I'm doing overall with these monsters is they exist. They're out there already in pop culture to some degree, right? One, fleshing them out and just drawing a giant turtle. I can draw a turtle and just put something in the image for scale, and that's it, right? But how do I make this my turtle? How is this AmeriKaiju turtle as opposed to just some random turtle? So that's really where where I'm bringing this together.
Yeah, and I totally get it.
Screws all over the entire house.
Well, what did you say, Gabriel?
I've been finding screws all over the entire house.
Okay. I hope those screws don't go to anything important that might fall apart if there's no screw holding it together. So
I've been finding like little screws all over the entire house.
Okay.
I found 2 silver ones, and then I found a gold one, and then I found a gold one, and then I found this one right now on the floor. Yeah, but you got to be careful with one of the silver ones because they had razor sharp edges.
Yeah, don't want to step on those. Don't want to step on those.
Yeah, but good thing I was wearing like these shoes when I went into my room, and then I almost stepped on it because I found it. I was getting a book. I found it, and then I just set it down on my shelf, and I was like, "That's really sharp."
Yeah, you don't want your brother or your mom or your dad to step on those screws. So make sure you put those screws. That's my PSA for today. Find those screws on the floor, put them away, because knowing is half the battle. There we go. Anyway, let's. I think we have one new drawing from Roy. Did you see that?
Nice. I didn't see it.
Yeah, let's show one more art piece before we close out the show here. Do you see it?
You might need to reload it, re-upload it, because I don't see it.
Okay, I can share it. Hold on one second, and me share screen and all right. So here we go. At the stream, check it out.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
I have, and apparently those are not nanotech legs; those are robotic cybernetic legs. But
nice.
I love it. Roy is famous for coming up with these, like, not going overboard with his lines, but it definitely, it's that shape language that Edgar was talking about. But I like that is he coming out of a sink? Is that a sink or a toilet?
It's a toilet. You can see the toilet handle.
That's a toilet.
I was trying to be nice and say maybe that's a sink, but then I noticed the handle. There's a handle there. So poor Frogman. Now he's gone from like terrorizing you on the side of the road to like invading your bathroom. So look out. I love it. Look out for that. So,
it also looks like he incorporated the handle from the toilet into the glove.
Oh, he did. He did. Look. Oh man, you catch everything. That is so cool. But yeah, this is a frogman you got to look out for. Got to
Is
look
that
out for.
It looks like it's the trench coat that he was wearing. It's just ripped up.
All right. Okay. So
Very cool, guys.
thank you for all the artists that contributed to it. And if you want to draw a little later on, we will submit those and show them to Edgar. Art show is open. You can definitely post any of your ideas and make sure that Edgar sees them. And of course, the CEO, Gabriel, gets to give his seal of approval to see if it gets incorporated into the overall design for the frog band. So check that out. All right. So now that we've completed these live drawings, let's just round out talking about the Kickstarter that's coming up in it's coming on January 21st.
Just a few weeks,
and, yeah, just a couple weeks. And let me adjust the banner at the oops, wrong one. If you look at the bottom, there's a new banner, scrolling banner. We will actually put this in the comments field a little later on, but this is where you can go to sign up to get a reminder when this Kickstarter goes live. What's unique about this particular campaign is I think, Edgar, you mentioned it's going to be 45 days versus 50 days. You want to talk a little bit about the campaign itself and what to look forward to when you people sign up?
Yeah, so yeah, please check out the link and sign up for the early notifications launch. There we will be having some early bird sales for pretty much everything that's involved. There's going to be very few things that are omitted, but for the most part, you can get some comics for a lot cheaper, and all that good stuff. A big note for the Kickstarter: not only are we doing the comics, we're also going to be doing a bunch of toys. So you can check them out there. We do have, if you scroll down a little bit further, there's under the Booyah level, we have Hero, and that's going to be roto vinyl. So if you think about this is not a 3D print. This is not anything like that. This is actual production vinyl piece. Think of the same way.
There's even one where he has a sword of swordiness, where there's actually a hole in his fist where you can put the sword in.
Yeah. Let me finish talking. Thank you for
He's always promoting.
So yeah, this think of it as the same type of plastic that those original Little People figures come in. These guys are going to be made of the same stuff, similar to the big guy that we have, our Tagaric figure.
Yes.
These are all roto-vinyl figures. So I think Jarrell and I had talked about this. They're not cheap figures to make, and they're very, very low numbers. So it's not like a Hasbro limited edition of 5,000 pieces. This is truly limited. These are going to be a couple hundred made of these guys at best. Keeping my outlook a little more realistic, right? There's Busco and again, same size. They're about 3¼ inches tall. So they're basically what a little people toy is.
Right.
And we came up with Gabriel helped me come up with the logo there for AmeriKaiju Kids. Basically, yeah. AmeriKaiju Kids is basically our little fictional toy company within the comic book that's going to be making these little toys. And then you have things like the trade right below that at the crack level.
I'm gonna go inside now.
Say bye to everybody.
Bye.
Okay, bye, Gabriel.
Bye, man.
I'm taking the remote. I'm gonna press the button.
Okay. So
you can't turn off creativity, Edgar. Your son is just constantly on creative mode. You just gotta embrace it.
Yeah, that does not turn off. There's no on off switch for that.
All right, so you were talking about I'm going to tell you, I love the names of your tiers.
Thank you.
We went from Booyah to Crack.
So all of the tier levels are onomatopoeia. So it's like Crack and Booyah and Whack and Swamp and all the stuff that we have in our comic book. So hopefully it makes it easier for you to go back and forth from the pledge boxes to the story side where this is stored. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of big packs like these where you get the figure plus a bunch of comics, or I'm also doing mini comics and stuff like that where it's like 6-inch tall comic books where it's just miniaturized versions of the comic to go along with your mini figures.
Just like He-Man. Remember when He-Man used to have those mini comics?
Yeah, exactly.
So this is Edgar saying, "I'm gonna do it right."
Well, no, I just doing it my way. I think
doing it your way.
Is really the big takeaway there is, I have my opinions about how things should go, and that's where I'm going to take it. And then I also at the very end have some store bundles for those folks that want to do either exclusive variant covers. Or buy I think this is 100 pieces of each comic, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
these are exciting tiers, and just like Edgar said, if you ever forget, if you use the automatopoeia, you're gonna remember. I mean, if you go, you can say, check out the Booyah tier that that I got.
Right.
That's gonna be something really cool to use in social media. I could sort of say, I just purchased the Booyah tier.
You go.
That's all you got to say, and that's gonna make everybody want to join in the campaign. But again, I want everybody to know that this is going to come up on January 21st. It'll go live. It's going to be a 45-day campaign, a little bit longer than the typical 30-day. That just means there's more time to like quadruple the goal. We're just not going to reach the goal. We're going to quadruple it.
I'm hoping we crush it.
Yeah, we're gonna everything from pop, crush, wham. We're gonna make sure that Edgar's campaign, like it goes to the moon and back in terms of like getting that funded. So please sign up. There's the URL there at the bottom, and I'm gonna put it into the comments field as well. But that way you can know when it officially goes live. I know that I talked to Edgar. He has a pretty aggressive social media strategy that he's going to be implementing during that 45-day period. I'm thinking this thing will be funded really quickly, but if it doesn't, which I think it will still happen, it's going to get funded like crazy. But there's going to be some really cool things that he's planning to do to help get the word out. I'm gonna zip my lip, and I know that it's still kind of like being worked on, but I'm just gonna say that Edgar has some. Unless Edgar, did you want to like?
Yeah, I think we can give it at least a bit of a tease there. And basically, the reason why I'm doing 45 days for everyone, it's not. Well, the reason is because I'm doing these special things for the shows that are backing us. And basically, what I'm doing is a sponsor level for each of the podcasts that I'm on. Specifically for the viewers of Let It Out, we're going to be doing a very special pricing, early bird pricing for those folks that are Let It Out fans. The idea there is that we're going to Jarrell and I and team have to come up with an exact date. But basically, I'm going to be choosing different dates for the different shows, and each one of those days, we're going to be debuting a different pack, different combinations of characters, and what you're seeing here on screen now is the Togaric that is going to be sponsored by H&A Comics. Very good friends of mine over at H&A Comics. Check them out on Instagram. They sell a lot of different kinds of comics, but basically they're sponsoring, and what that means to you as a viewing audience is these are going to have a special price. So they're going to most likely be, I'm thinking, minimum of like 50% off. So you will want to make sure that you're reading all of the social media posts and seeing when we go live. I think Jarrell and I are planning on something special, but the big takeaway is each one of these is going to have a very specific date and time that they're going to go live. Beyond that, I think I'm only going to do 5 pieces for each of these, because we do want some of you folks that are on it to get your stuff a little bit cheaper. But obviously, we're going to be trying to sell these, to make some money. After all, that is what it comes down to. I need to finance this stuff somehow. So, social media wise, I hope you guys enjoy the fact that we have these special pricing going on, and overall for the campaign. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but we have this thing which is what you pledge is what you pay. What that means is, a pet peeve of mine is when I go on Kickstarter and I pledge, say $15 for something, and then I forget about it and I come back, and then it's time to pay up. It's like, well, yeah, you pledged 15, but now it's 105 for shipping, right? And it's like,
oh,
what?
Yeah.
That always kills me. So what I'm doing here is I'm incorporating the cost of shipping and eating some of that, so that literally what you pledge is what you're paying. So you're not going to have an additional charge for shipping. You're not going to have any hidden costs unless you want to incur those on your own. If you want to throw a tip our way, then by all means,
send extra money.
But overall, what you pledge is what you pay is what we're pitching for this.
Yeah, that is great. Because I had an extensive conversation with Edgar about, just some, he talked about his peeves and some of the things that, that kind of turned me off about certain things about crowdfunding. But you know what? It's one of those things that it's a vehicle that creators can use to get their stuff out there. And we totally dig it. I think it's one of those things that it's not a sole model that any creator should totally just use, because, I think that there are other things that would help them get their message out there, get their products out there that go beyond it. And it's not because crowdfunding is a bad thing. It's just more about the model. It's not robust enough if you want to put out multiple things every month, because you have to fulfill whatever your first campaign is before you can launch another one. So if you're putting out a monthly book or a bi-monthly book or something that's going to be more than the schedule that a month will allow for running a campaign and then fulfilling it, the crowdfunding model will not work. But it's a means to get your product out there, and we totally dig that's just part of it. But one thing I talked with Edgar about is that he has the books. They're done. It's like crowdfunding is just one avenue of getting that product out there. The books are going to get done. Whether the crowdfunding, I'm not going to say it's not going to get funded, because it's going to get funded. But it's just one of the multiple ways that he's going to use this platform to get his creation out there. So make sure you note the link that's scrolling currently. That's how you can sign up. It's going to debut with a bang, with a booyah on the 21st of this month. And this keep like and follow, subscribe. Actually, let's go ahead and change that right now. I'm going to go to the banner. And let's go back to this banner. After you sign up, make sure you like and follow Edgar through all these, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, because once the campaign is live, if you're following him, you'll be able to see what that social media strategy that we were talking about, those special edition things that are going to be coming out, the special show that we're going to be doing with Edgar in the future. That's how you can be in the know. So make sure you bookmark those things. Make sure you note them. I will put them in the comments field. So if you can't click on it right now, you can go there later on and make sure you add it to your browser bookmark list.
Yeah,
so
make sure you buy early. Make sure you buy early so that Edgar doesn't have to sweat it out like last time.
That was the adventure, Edgar, wasn't it? Waiting to the last 48 hours, I think.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I think it was just the night before. It was like 9 hours before it ended that we got funded, which was great that we got funded, but I was sweating bullets, man. So yeah, help me not feel that.
Not sweat bullets. Help Edgar not sweat bullets. In fact, make him we'll say cry tears of joy, because he's going to be funded within like 24 hours and quadruple funded by the end of the campaign in 25 days. I'm gonna make some predictions here. All right, so I want everybody to know this is actually one of the special edition figures, but I use this in the banner. This was one of the banner graphics when we promoted Edgar's appearance here. Look at this toy. I mean,
that's really cool.
It is, back in the 80s, I remember a toy line that was very simple. It wasn't as cool as this, but it reminds me of it. Remember Battle Beasts? I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
And they had the little what do you call it? They had a little
The little spinning thing on the.
Well, they had like a, remember the Transformers? You had that little heat sensitive sticker that would reveal if they're Autobot or Decepticon.
Yeah,
I think Battle Beasts had like, you know, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and you know could, and you would basically have your Battle Beasts, and it was like rock paper scissors. You know, you could bring out your little Battle Beasts, and they were very simple. You know, they didn't have like tons of articulation, but they were just cool monster designs. And they had like a token, like really cool weapon, and that's the way.
Didn't they all come with a staff that had their like symbol on it?
I can't remember. I just know they had unique weapons, and they were all like, you know, different types of animals, and it was just neat. And when I look at your creations here, it's that wave of nostalgia. Of course, those were like tiny, and you know, these are much bigger. Of course, you have the little people versions, and you know, I could just see like anybody buying those little people versions of your characters and having them sort of like interact with other little people, and like, you know. Anyway,
yeah.
I can hear
the little people.
Yeah, there's lots of cool stories that can come out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the toy. This is one of the unique things that I love about Edgar is that, you know, he has the comic book. He has his CEO partner in crime, Gabriel, 7-year-old, you know, prodigy there. But you know, what's unique from all the other creators that we've had on the show is the toy design part of it. And of course, I mentioned John Ottinger with the Dweors, but the two of these creators, this is what's really, really cool about their particular creations is they do toy design as well. So show some love, show some support. Go and follow Edgar at these links. Sign up for the reminder for the Kickstarter campaign. It's going to be coming to you on January 21st. And let's get this thing funded. Let's get it funded. Let's get it funded so we can see more issues of AmeriKaiju. So I'm going to close this out and let's wind it down here. Let's go to the Oscar speech part of the show. Let me stop this.
Let me show Royce. Roy commented earlier.
Love
the show. Roy. Love the guest, but I love Gabriel more.
Understandable. I can see that.
Yeah. He stole the show today.
He stole the show. I will never forget what nanotech is versus cybernetic versus robotic. I stand corrected. Okay, so I'm gonna hand the mic over to you, Edgar, and just give us your your Oscar pitch or your speech, and let us know how we can follow you and make sure that we support you. So here, the mic is in your hands.
All right. Well, thank you again, everyone, for sticking around this long or watching to this point. I do want to say thank you to Jarrell as well and Vic. It's been awesome being on the show with you guys. So that said, the story of this 5-year-old fighting these big monsters is just a fun adventure that I wanted to share with everyone. That stems from these stories that come from everyday adventures with my own son. And the Kickstarter, again, starts January 21st, and that goes for 45 days. Again, the reason for that is so that we can have these special pricing days where we're interjecting with shows like Let It Out. Let It Out will have its own special pricing day, and we're going to be doing some very, very, very cool stuff. And we'll be releasing some of those teasers of that leading up to the campaign, so you guys are all aware of what time and what day to look for it. And the cool part, I think, about my campaign is going to be that it's a mix of toys and comics, and it's stuff that like myself, where if you love toys and if you love comics, you love art in general, hopefully there's a little bit of something in there for anyone that loves any of those things. And another cool part is going to be that like I mentioned about the shipping, take a look at the rewards tiers, and when you scroll down on the right hand side, there's going to be a little graphic that says free shipping. And it's basically all the consumer rewards are free shipping, or shipping is included in them. So what you pledge is what you pay, in other words. So hopefully that keeps it as simple as possible for anyone trying to follow along. And again, from all of us creating AmeriKaiju, Jezreel, our interiors artist, Danielle Caval, who is also an interiors artist, Miguel Gaton, who's our colorist, myself, my wife, Christina Pasten, my son Gabriel, we all thank you, because it helps every one of those pledges and messages and purchases that are made directly from the website. Thank you, Saeed, for going on there earlier. All of those purchases help to keep this thing alive and to keep it moving forward towards our ultimate goal, which is going to be, my pie in the sky dream is to have this thing be animated, and hopefully someday make it into into being a movie, and so on and so forth. So we're just we're moving towards that. So thank you very much for your help along the way.
Awesome. I was a little slow to take because I was just listening so intently. I was like, all right, I want the booyah. Do I want the booyah?
Yeah.
I need to get the click. Or I don't know which tier I want, but I want everybody to make sure that, okay, we have this. You can like and follow. I'm going to share this one more time. Let's go to the banners and share this. So make sure you note this. I'm going to put this in the comments field, and I'm going to repaste all Edgar's contact information so you can be sure to be in the know for everything and anything that is AmeriKaiju. So we want to make sure that happens. And that was an excellent Oscar speech. Couldn't have done it better. So like we end all of our shows, we want to give a plug to a special charity that we all love and appreciate. And I'm going to change the banner here. And that charity is Golden Fight. And hold on one moment. Was so listening intently to Edgar that I wasn't getting the tab ready for Golden Fight to show here. So let me pull that up real quick and add that to stream. Okay, so Golden Fight. If you watched any of our other shows, I'm a big fan of them. Comics Cast is a big fan of Golden Fight. And Golden Fight is an organization that I like to say is that they're big enough and small enough at the same time. Small enough in the sense that they are not this big corporate charity. They're very localized in my neck of the woods, the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States. That allows them to be huge in the smaller area, the geographic area that they are focusing on. And the huge part is that 100% of the money that they raise as a charitable organization goes to the families that are a part of Golden Fight. So what is Golden Fight? Golden Fight is an organization that helps parents who have children that are dealing with difficult diseases like cancer. And when they're focusing on the healing of their child, they will inevitably have financial difficulties. Golden Fight is the answer. Golden Fight raises money, and that money they raise 100%. I used to think it was like a 98 or 97%. No, it's 100%. The leadership, they do this on a volunteer basis. They do it voluntarily because they have had family members or friends that have children that have experienced these difficult diseases, and Golden Fight is that answer. They're the ones that are coming together to raise money to help these parents as they focus on the healing of their child. So if you want to check out a worthy charity, this is one of them. We're not associated with them financially in any shape, way, or form. We are just friends with the leadership there, and we just want to spread the word. Another thing, if you watched our year-end show, I kind of dropped the ball a little bit because there's been a lot of things that have happened between the year-end show to today, which have kind of delayed a little things. But one of the projects that we want to do with Golden Fight is put together a kids coloring and activity book. And it's going to be not just for kids. I think there's going to be a appeal factor to an older audience as well. And those of us who just really like cool indie creator art. The call to action, the call to arms is going to come out probably next week. And Edgar, I'm going to send you a call to action to that too. By all means, you don't have to feel obligated to do it. But what we'd like to do is have the indie community kind of like come together and maybe come up with like their featured IP, original characters from their IP in this activity book that we can give to children that are dealing with this difficult disease, and it'll give them something to do where they can be introduced to all these wonderful indie creator characters. And there's so many that Edgar has created, and they've been kid tested because they were kid approved and generated with none other than Gabriel. So we know that they're going to resonate with the kid demographic that this coloring book, activity book is going to go through. So I'm going to put out that call to arms to get other creators possibly to help out with that. And our goal is to hopefully have this ready for Valentine's Day, because that way it can be something that we can share the love of, indie creators and their creations and getting the word about that. And also help, raise money that we can in turn 100% donate back to Golden Fight. And that's just something that we'd love to do. So check out Golden Fight. Let me close this. And for one last time, let's go here. Sign up, find out what's going to happen on January 21st. It's already marked on my calendar. It's going to be the debut of Edgar's campaign. I'm going to put that in the comment field. And also this is how you can like, follow, subscribe, make sure that you know everything about AmeriKaiju and whatever Edgar and Gabriel and soon Christopher. And I even heard your wife gets in and helps with the creative process. So you guys, you have a talent pool. That's the whole family. So that's something to draw from. Yeah, let's kick this show out with a very positive note. I love you guys. I'm so happy that it's 2022. My mantra, my hashtag is hashtag more to do in 2022. There is more to do. We got so many talented indie creators out there, and their stories need to be heard. And it's been my pleasure to have you, Edgar, to be on the show so we can tell your story.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you guys so much. It was fun.
All right. So, Vic, any last words before I take us out?
Thank you to Gabriel. He, the show was going downhill till Gabriel came on. He made the show today.
For sure.
I was faltering, and he saved the show. I think that he just pulled us out from like those uncomfortable silences where we have dead air. He just totally like rocked that. Anyway, thank you, Edgar. Thank you, Vic. We will see you next week. Comics Cast 2022. We got big things happening, and we're gonna get that Friday freestyle going on as well. And you're going to hear all about Edgar on those shows too. So anyway, love you all. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys.
Bye, everybody.